in prison. I develop mechas to break out. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226. Desperate. In the Research Institute, Zhou Yang was reading the information sent by the National Security Bureau. It was information about the Golden Triangle. After reading it, Zhou Yang realized how much drugs were produced in this place every year, how much drugs flowed into the country through the border, and how many border guards and drug dealers were fighting desperately, and how many people died in the line of duty every year. Cancer. Zhou Yang snorted and closed the information. Li Xiaoyu pushed the door open and said, "Sir, the girl is here." Oh. Zhou Yang's eyes lit up, and he stood up and said, "Let her go to the General Assembly room to see me." In the General Assembly room, Zhou Yang saw Hizin, with short hair cut to her ears, and wearing a camouflage military uniform. She looked much more energetic. "Mr. Zhou." Hizin saluted excitedly when she saw Zhou Yang. "Not bad, the salute is quite standard." Zhou Yang smiled and nodded, and asked, "Have you dealt with all the things at home?" He gave Hizin a few days to help her enlist and arrange things at home. Hizin said, "It's done. I used the 10 million you gave me to buy a big house for my parents. They are so happy." Zhou Yang didn't ask any more questions and waved to Kang Ning in the distance. Kang Ning quickly pushed a mecha over. Hizin's eyes lit up instantly. "Mecha, the legendary mecha. This thing is too mysterious. There are only a few photos on the internet." Zhou Yang said, "This mecha is specially made for you. Go, put on the combat uniform, and try it out." Hizin was very surprised. Zhou Yang asked her to be a mecha driver. She thought she had to go through training or something, but she didn't expect that she could drive a mecha right away. This is different from the game. It's a real mecha. Soon, Hizin, who was wearing combat uniforms, boarded the mecha that belonged to her. "How does it feel?" Zhou Yang asked. Hizin's voice came from the mecha, saying, "Very good, just like a dream." Zhou Yang smiled and said, "Then don't stand there stupidly, try moving." "Okay," Hizin said, and started to move. At first, Hizin was not very skilled, but soon, he became familiar with it, and the movements of the mecha became extremely coherent and swift. "Mr. Zhou." A man in combat uniform came over, with firm features and a rock-like gaze. Looking at Hizin, who was quickly shuttling between the piles in the field, the man's eyes lit up and said, "Is this the Xingqian pilot that you selected, Mr. Zhou?" Zhou Yang nodded and said, "What do you think?" The man's name is Zubin, and he is also a mecha pilot. Zubin smiled and said, "You are very talented to be able to perform like this when you just got on the mecha, but it's too rough. You can tell that you haven't been through rigorous training." Zhou Yang smiled and said, "Okay, I'll leave the man to you. We'll take action in 3 days." "Okay." 3 days later, a military transport plane was flying along the southwest border. In the cabin, Zubin was helping Hizin put on his combat uniform. "Are you nervous?" Zubin asked. Hizin nodded, then shook his head quickly, denying, "I'm not nervous." Zubin smiled and said, "Relax, you have to trust your mecha, believe that it can protect your safety, understand?" Hizin nodded vigorously, but his face was still pale. Zubin said, "In fact, I don't want you to participate in this operation. Although Mr. Zhou said that you are just here to observe, I still think it is inappropriate, even if it is just to observe. It's not that your driving skills are not good enough, but your will. After all, you have only been a soldier for a few days. You have not undergone rigorous training, and do not have a steel-like will." Hizin gritted his teeth and said, "I can do it." Zubin said no more. At this time, the captain's voice came from the loudspeaker, prompting that they were about to arrive at the designated location. The cabin door warning light came on, and the rear cabin door slowly opened. Outside, the wind was howling, and the fog was lingering. Today was a cloudy day, and the dense jungle below was hidden in the fog. Soon, the warning light turned from red to green. "Let's go." Zubin closed his mask, nodded to Hizin, and jumped out of the hatch at high speed. Hizin gritted his teeth and jumped out. The wind was howling, and the mecha fell from the sky like a falling meteor. Hizin passed through the heavy fog and vaguely saw Zubin not far away. Start the thrusters. Zubin's voice sounded. Zin quickly started the thrusters, and the mecha began to fly horizontally, gently passing over the treetops, and slowly landing in the dense forest. Not far away, Zubin also came over. According to the intelligence, a team of drug dealers will cross the border today. Our first task is to intercept them. Let's go, Zubin said. Zin nodded, and then found that it was a bit difficult for the mecha to travel through the rainforest. The land was too soft, and it was easy to get stuck in the mud. Zubin checked the map and said, start the thrusters and speed up. After speaking, the thrusters started, slightly suspended on the surface, and then moved forward quickly, like a butterfly flying through flowers, nimbly moving through the woods. In the dense forest, a team of more than 20 people was moving slowly forward. They were driving mules and horses, holding weapons in their hands. The leader was a thin man with sharp eyes. He held a pistol in his hand and scanned the surrounding environment with sharp eyes. We are about to enter the border of country Z. Be careful and be alert. The man shouted. Brother Fei, don't worry. We have already caught that guy. We specially asked him to pass the false news to the police. The police thought we would act the day after tomorrow. They would never dream that we would act today, so there would be no problem at all. The man said, anyway, it's right to be careful. If something goes wrong, it will be difficult to explain to the general. The group quickly crossed the border. At this moment, the man suddenly noticed something. In the dense forest, 2 red spots were approaching quickly. What is that? The man exclaimed, but he only had time to shout, and the 2 red spots had already rushed forward and stopped in front of the team. Seeing what it was, the man's eyes widened instantly and he exclaimed, fuck, what is this? The people in the team were also incredulous. It's a mecha. Damn, it's a mecha from country Z. Someone shouted. The man also reacted, his brain buzzing. Mecha, country Z even sent out mechas to fight drug dealers. This is too crazy. Run. Someone shouted. This is the most powerful military equipment in the world. Relying on the fire sticks in their hands, trying to fight the mecha is simply suicide. More than 20 people scattered like birds and beasts. Zubin grabbed from behind and took out a huge hilt. Then with a buzzing sound, a hot light sprayed out from the front of the sword, forming a nearly 2-meter long laser sword. The man opened his mouth again and shouted in his heart, enough, it's really enough. Using mechas to fight drug dealers, even laser swords are used. Country Z, you are so bad. Chapter 227 Shocking People. Zubin passed through the drug dealers like a red lightning. The laser sword in his hand danced wildly, and there was no enemy who could match him wherever he passed. The mecha stopped suddenly. Behind him, there was already a mess. More than 20 drug dealers were killed without even a chance to escape. The laser sword passed by, and each of them was dismembered, leaving a pile of body parts. Blood was flowing. Zin's mask quickly popped open, and then with a wow, Zin vomited directly. Zubin put away the sword and walked back. It took less than 3 seconds to kill more than 20 people from beginning to end. Zin vomited twice, then forced himself to suppress the nausea, stood up, and forced himself to look at the bodies on the ground. Zubin's eyes lit up. He didn't mean to do it, but Zin could recover so quickly, and his willpower was good. But when Zubin got closer, he heard Zin constantly muttering fake, fake and so on. This girl. Zubin chuckled and said, okay, let's go. Our mission today is not just this team of drug dealers. Our goal is to destroy the entire Golden Triangle. Zin nodded and began to mutter something like these people should die. Zubin destroyed the transported goods and then continued to set off with Zin. On the way, Zin gradually regained her composure. Half an hour later, the two arrived at their destination. Abandoning the first battery compartment, a mountain stronghold surrounded by mountains appeared in front of the two. Our target is Nangchap, the actual controller of the Golden Triangle. This guy is a more traditional person and lives here all year round. Zubin said. Our trip is not just as simple as destroying the mountain stronghold. It is easy to destroy the mountain stronghold and burn the planted drugs, but these things can be rebuilt immediately. So we have to deter people's hearts and tell those drug dealers what the consequences of wanting to rebuild the Golden Triangle are. Zin nodded blankly. She felt that Zubin was murderous when he said this. By the way, we have an undercover agent who may have been discovered by the drug dealers. We don't know if he's alive yet. We'll look for him later." After saying that, Zubin rushed out directly. The village was quiet, but in the quiet, there was a murderous aura. There were people patrolling with guns outside the village. At the same time, several sentry towers were built in the corners of the village, and machine guns were mounted on the sentry towers. 2 mechas rushed out and came over in a swagger and were soon discovered. "My god, what is that thing? It's coming at us. Shoot quickly, shoot quickly." On the nearest sentry tower, 2 drug dealers quickly pulled the trigger and the bullet swept over. But that accuracy can be called a master of human body outlining. Zubin snorted coldly, suddenly accelerated, and the laser sword in his hand emerged. After a few takeoffs and landings, he came to the front of the sentry tower. The 2 drug dealers looked at the red mecha floating in the air, their mouths wide open, and they were almost scared to pee. Zubin slashed with a sword. The man and the machine gun were all cut in half, and the wooden sentry tower also collapsed in half and began to burn. "Be careful. He's in," suddenly shouted. Zubin seemed to have eyes on his back and tilted his head slightly. An RPG passed by Zubin's ear. A few dozen meters away, a drug dealer carrying a rocket launcher saw that the RPG missed, and the mecha slowly turned around and looked at him. He was so scared that he sat on the ground and ran back with his hands and feet. The whole mountain village had been alarmed. A large number of drug dealers ran out with weapons. In a 2-story wooden building in the center, an old man in a loose white robe walked out quickly and shouted, "What's going on? Where is the shooting? What happened?" "There are enemies, General. There are enemies attacking us," a drug dealer replied in panic. This old man is the actual controller of the Golden Triangle. He is a self-proclaimed general. After hearing what his subordinates said, he kicked them and cursed. "Why are you panicking? There are more than 300 people in our village, and there are mortars and helicopters behind us. We are not afraid of the government army. No matter who dares to attack us, they are looking for death. Kill them for me. I will peel their skins." The military strength of the Golden Triangle is not weak. The key is that they have money. Some restricted military weapons are also secretly bought. In terms of combat effectiveness, they are not much worse than the government army. "General, it is a mecha that attacks us, a mecha from country Z." "What is it?" Nongcha was shocked and did not react. "It's a mecha from country Z, the kind that can fly in the sky." Nongcha shuddered and came back to his senses. "Mecha, it's actually a mecha." These days, there are really not many people in the world who don't know that country Z has mechas. As for the power of the mecha, there is no need to think too much. Anyway, it is extremely powerful. "Mecha," the messenger muttered to himself, and the next moment, he suddenly turned around and ran, screaming, "Quick, get the helicopter ready to take off. Let's go quickly." The other side even deployed mechas, so there was no point in fighting back. It was amazing that they could run away. Several senior executives escorted the messenger and hurried to the back of the village. There was a helipad there, where a second-hand broken Black Hawk was parked. It could still fly, and it had 2 machine guns, so it had air combat capabilities. At this time, Zubin had already turned on the unparalleled mode. Kill all the drug dealers in the village. The red dragon soul became even more bright red. At this time, a helicopter in the back took off. Zubin snorted coldly and was about to rush out, but found that he's actually rushed out. After hesitating for a while, Zubin stopped. The helicopter took off, and the messenger saw the red mecha in the village at a glance. He saw many drug dealers shooting at the mecha frantically, but the mecha didn't pay any attention. The bullets hit the mecha, and sparks flew everywhere. From a distance, Nongcha felt the mecha staring at him, and a chill rushed to his head. He screamed, "Go!" But at this moment, another mecha appeared in Nongcha's field of vision. 2. Nongcha was about to cry. He was just a drug dealer, and they actually sent out 2 mechas. These 2 mechas could easily defeat a small country. Heesan also took out the laser sword and started the thrusters as fast as lightning. The helicopter rose rapidly. Because of the high speed, the old fuselage made a creaking sound and almost disintegrated. But no matter how fast it was, how could it be faster than the mecha? Heesan gritted his teeth and held the laser sword in front of him like a red lightning. passing through the fuselage of the helicopter. Nongcha's eyes widened. Below his chest, he was charred and slowly separated from his body. A terrifying crack ran through the entire helicopter. With a boom, the helicopter exploded into a fireball in the air. Zin stopped in the air and dared to open her eyes. She had closed her eyes when she drew her sword just now. Zhou, you did a good job. Zubin's voice of praise came to her ears. But the next moment, Zubin suddenly cursed, "These beasts. Captain Zhu, what's wrong?" Zin was startled and quickly landed and came to Zubin's side. She saw Zubin standing quietly in a wooden house. Seeing the situation in the wooden house, Zin almost vomited again. A person who was vaguely unrecognizable was lying on a wooden table. With a quick glance, Zin could see clearly that it seemed to be the undercover. From the miserable scene in front of her, one can imagine how inhuman torture the undercover who was discovered suffered. Kill. Zubin walked out of the wooden house with murderous intent. Chapter 228 Smart City completed. Zin looked at Zubin walking out, and when he looked back, he no longer had the intention to vomit. Looking at the broken body, Zin could imagine what kind of torture the other party had suffered before he died. It was even more unimaginable that under such abuse, the undercover agent named Yang Shuo secretly passed back the real delivery date of the drug dealers. I'm afraid that until his death, he was still thinking about completing the task and not letting even a gram of drugs flow into the country. Zin remembered that Yang Shuo was 33 years old in the information. At this age, he should have been married and perhaps had children. But in order to fight drugs, he still resolutely became an undercover agent, and he lurked for several years. Sacrifice your own family for the sake of everyone. Zin only knew this sentence when watching TV before, and he didn't feel anything, but at this moment, he really felt the weight of this sentence. He saluted Yang Shuo and turned around and walked out of the wooden house. Outside, Zubin was like a killer, chasing and killing drug dealers one by one. Some drug dealers knelt down and begged for mercy, but Zubin ignored them. Kill. Zin gritted his teeth and joined in. A quarter of an hour later, Zin stopped. The whole village was like purgatory. Zubin had already ignited the flames, and the whole village turned into a sea of fire. Zin found a piece of felt cloth, wrapped Yang Shuo's body, held it in both hands, and came to Zubin. Zubin's laser sword swept across the ground, leaving a huge word kill. Go. Zubin snorted coldly and soared into the sky, and Zin, with a heavy heart, followed Zubin. She suddenly understood why Zhou Yang asked her to follow Zubin to carry out the mission. The village was destroyed, and the mistake was killed, but compared to the entire Golden Triangle area, the mistake of a village was nothing. As Zubin said, destroying a village is useless, but it is mainly to deter. The day after the mission was completed, related reports appeared in newspapers. The world was shocked, and major media reprinted it crazily. But the focus of these reports was not on destroying a village or killing hundreds of drug dealers, but on the fact that Country Z once again dispatched mechas. Various theories about the threat of Country Z have started to be hyped again. 2 mechas, killing hundreds of drug dealers, just like playing. The threat of mechas is too great, we must oppose it. What? Country Z has sent out mechas again, and sent out 2 at once. Oppose it, they have made too many. Country Z. Oppose it. Opposing Country Z is almost a standard operation now. Moreover, many powerful countries have noticed that the mechas sent out this time actually gave up the use of cold weapons, but used an unknown lightsaber. Anyway, that's what the survivors said. A kind of glowing sword, swung over, metal, houses, people, all were cut in half. There are still civilians in the mountain village. These people, Zubin did not kill, so the battle in the mountain village can hardly be concealed. Intelligence organizations of various countries also came after hearing the news. After detailed inquiries, they suddenly discovered that this is not a lightsaber at all. It is simply a laser sword in a science fiction movie. Country Z actually has a laser sword. Having mechas is already perverted enough, and even laser swords are available. Is this going to make people live? At this time, Country Z also began to speak out, facing various doubts, especially the opposition from Country MD, saying that Country Z broke into their border without reason and killed their citizens. The spokesperson just threw a look over and understood it himself. Just broke into your border. What can you do? What, do you still want to wrestle with it? Since you always say that we are a threat, then we are a threat. When Country MD saw this response, it was immediately scared and dared not say a word. As for those reports that clamored about the threat theory of Country Z, they disappeared without a trace in an instant. There is a saying that when others are afraid that you have a gun, you'd better really have a gun. In the factory, Zhou Yang took Li Xianshu and others to visit and said with a smile. Gao Jianjun gave a thumbs up and said, Mr. Zhao, you said it beautifully. They are just a bunch of chickens. I don't bother to pay attention to them. Li Xianshu coughed lightly, speechless in his heart. Low-key, can't you be low-key? The progress is very fast. The factory has been built. Is it time to start assembling next? Gao Jianjun asked. Zhou Yang nodded. The progress was indeed very fast, faster than expected. Now that I think about it, it's mainly because the relevant technology has either been broken through or has matured. Otherwise it wouldn't be so fast. Zhou Yang said. Gao Jianjun nodded and asked again, how long will it take to assemble this big guy? Zhou Yang glanced at him and said, at the fastest, it will take half a year. Half a year? Gao Jianjun widened his eyes and said, I thought it would take 1 or 2 years. Li Xianshu was also surprised. He couldn't imagine that in half a year, a mecha hundreds of meters high could be built. Zhou Yang said, you have to know that in order to build this big guy, more than 3,000 project teams were opened, and about 600 different companies were producing parts. Not to mention that there are tens of thousands of engineers who will be responsible for the assembly work, and the number of peripheral staff will be several times more. So think about it, in order to build such a big guy, at least tens of thousands of people are around him. When the technology is already mature, half a year is really not fast. Building Xingshan really has the flavor of a national effort. By the way, what are you doing here today? Zhou Yang asked. Li Xianshu glanced at Gao Jianjun and said, General Gao is here just to take a look, and I'm here to invite you to attend the completion ceremony of the smart city. Is it completed? Zhou Yang was stunned. More than a year has passed. Li Xianshu nodded and said, the completion ceremony is scheduled for August 10th, which is only 10 days away. You must come by then. Of course, after all, this city was built by me, Zhou Yang said with a smile. The smart city was officially named Kaiming City, which means the morning star. It is a city leading to the future. In order to build this city, not only a huge amount of money was invested in infrastructure, but also some new technologies were used. Have you heard that the smart city has been built? The Kaiming City? It's been built for so long, and it's finally built. Long? More than a year. Building a new city is already an incredible speed. Okay. When will the lottery start? I've registered for more than half a year, but there's still no news. The registration of residents in Kaiming City started after the new year, and a total of more than 80 million people nationwide registered. It looks small, but in fact, the registration is based on households. These more than 80 million people are more than 80 million households. If there are 3 people in one household, there will be 240 million people. The entire Kaiming City is expected to have a resident population of 800,240 million people. 800,000 people are selected, and the ratio of 300 to 1. The chance of being selected is not high. Chapter 229 Media Open Day, August 5th. Kaiming City Media Visit Day. Any media outlet in the world can sign up, and will go to Kaiming City to visit this future smart city. When the news came out, media outlets from all over the world were very active. Since the construction of this smart city with an investment of 15 trillion yuan was exposed, it has always attracted a lot of attention, and has been exposed to some related news. The technology of Country Z is developing rapidly, and everyone is curious about how smart this smart city will be. Early in the morning of August 5th, a plane full of media reporters took off and headed for Kaiming City. A large part of the people on the plane were foreigners. Everyone, Kaiming City is just ahead. The broadcast sounded. It was broadcast in several languages. The media on the plane instantly became excited. Brian, the BBC host of Country Y, quickly patted his colleague Julian on the shoulder and signaled him to turn on the camera. Quickly shoot outside. Julian quickly turned on the camera and pointed it down through the window. The plane had slowly descended and passed through the light clouds. Below, a city with tall buildings and a dreamlike city appeared in front of us. On the plane, there was a sound of people sucking in air. Is this Kaiming City? It feels so sci-fi. Look at the building in the center. It looks like a sharp blade piercing the sky. The planning is also good. It is straight and simple. The key is that it is big. It is unimaginable that a city was built in more than a year. This is the speed of Country Z. Many foreign reporters repeated this word repeatedly. Country Z has repeatedly used its strong infrastructure capabilities to create feats that seem like miracles. In order to highlight the sense of technology, the entire Kaiming City was designed with many future sci-fi elements, such as more reasonable planning of urban functional areas. The central area is full of high-rise buildings, and the edges are low-rise residential areas. The roads have also been fully designed to make traffic smoother. There are also many buildings in the center, which have more design sense, clear edges and corners, and the outer curtain walls are mostly made of mirrors and other materials, which can be said to be full of sci-fi. But at the same time, this is also a livable city. Parks and green spaces can be seen everywhere in the city, and the environment is extremely good. The plane was not in a hurry to land, but deliberately circled over Kaiming City, so that reporters could get a glimpse of the entire city. Finally, the plane slowly landed at the airport more than 30 kilometers away from Kaiming City. Welcome to Kaiming City. The captain's voice came from the radio. Many reporters began to applaud. Just from the high altitude, they were full of expectations and interest in this smart city. Many media got off the plane. Hello, media friends. I'm the mayor of Kaiming City, Liu Qingping. Today, I will lead you to visit our city of the future. A middle-aged man appeared with many followers. In order to show the full picture of Kaiming City to the outside world, it was also a high-standard reception. The new mayor came in person. Many media hurriedly took out their cameras to take pictures of Liu Qingping, the mayor of the world's first smart city. This title alone is worth a close-up. Liu Qingping brought everyone to the airport. Our first stop will be to visit our smart airport. The entire airport is also full of design sense. From the appearance, it looks like a bowl on the ground. The whole airport uses a lot of steel structure, and the interior is extremely transparent and bright. Everyone, have you noticed that our airport seems particularly empty? Liu Qingping asked. Many reporters looked around and really found this. The entire airport, whether waiting or picking up passengers, is decorated in a minimalist style. At a glance, there is almost nothing messy. Unlike other airports, there is a billboard every 3 steps, an electronic screen every 5 steps, and various signs above the head. Even in the waiting hall, people didn't even see the check-in flight information board. Mayor Liu, I don't see any signs here. It's such a big airport. I won't get lost. A reporter asked. Liu Qingping smiled and shook his head, saying, I won't get lost. The most important thing about our airport is intelligence. We have reduced the number of staff and added artificial intelligence programs for guidance. As he spoke, Liu Qingping came to the elevator. The next moment, a flash of light appeared on the ground, and a beautiful female staff member suddenly appeared. It's a holographic projection. There was a cry of surprise from the reporters. In today's Z country, holographic projection is already a very mature technology. Liu Qingping nodded and said, yes, it is a holographic projection. When the airport is officially operational, these holographic projections will appear. They are all artificial intelligence programs that can provide various services to passengers in fixed areas. As she spoke, the beautiful staff member also bowed slightly to the crowd and nodded, saying, welcome everyone. The voice was sweet, and no one knew where the voice came from. Liu Qingping said, there are fixed sound holes on the ground, so the sound can move with the movement of artificial intelligence, and if there are few people, the artificial intelligence will disappear automatically, and will not affect the passengers. Without saying a word, many reporters took out their cameras, and started taking pictures. Liu Qingping waved his hand, and the beautiful staff member waved to everyone and disappeared. Everyone, have you noticed these light beige dots on the ground? Many reporters hurriedly looked at the ground. I found it. Mayor Liu, Do these dots have any special function? A reporter raised his hand and asked. Many reporters noticed when they came in that there was a beige dot on the ground every 5 meters in the hall. It was quite eye-catching. They thought it was a special decoration before, but now it seems that it has a special function. Liu Qingping came to a dot and stood still. About 5 seconds later, a holographic projection operation box suddenly appeared in front of Liu Qingping. If it is just artificial intelligence guidance at a fixed location, it may not meet the needs of passengers, so we have also created a way of intelligent interaction. Pointing to the holographic projection operation box in front of him, Liu Qingping said, "These points are distributed throughout the airport. Through these points, the entire airport is gridded. The artificial intelligence program can be located through these points and the intelligent program can be projected in front of the passengers." Many reporters exclaimed, and some reporters immediately ran to the dot and stood still. 5 seconds later, a projection box popped up in front of them. Liu Qingping said, "Through this program, passengers can easily understand your location and various locations in the entire airport. For example, if you want to go to the bathroom, you can also use it to navigate. For example, now I want to go to the general service desk. After clicking on the navigation, a planned road will appear in front of me, following me all the time, and guiding me to the service desk." Liu Qingping selected navigation, and an arrow projection began to appear in front of him, just in front of Liu Qingping. When he moved, the arrow would also move, and it would detect that he turned around and make corresponding adjustments to the arrow. Many reporters exclaimed, "Oh my god, this is too smart. The key is how to do it. This holographic projection technology is too cool. It's like the future world." At this moment, many reporters felt like Granny Liu visiting the Grandview Garden, which was really eye-opening. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230 Vacuum Maglev Train. Mayor Liu, this is too sci-fi. Many reporters exclaimed. Liu Qingping, however, looked calm and said, "This is just the beginning. Our airport is more than that. It is no exaggeration to say that artificial intelligence has been fully integrated into our airport. From the moment passengers enter the airport, they are under the monitoring of artificial intelligence through face recognition. If he has purchased a ticket, it will be automatically recognized, and he can check in more quickly. If the passenger forgets the time, artificial intelligence will actively remind him through holographic projection. Even if the passenger falls asleep, artificial intelligence will notify the airport staff to wake him up. We also have intelligent luggage carts that can scan the identity to take it. The luggage carts will automatically follow the passengers, and they also integrate weighing, automatic security inspection and other functions. The purpose is to make the passengers' travel experience faster and smarter. Liu Qingping introduced the functions of the airport one by one. Through artificial intelligence and holographic projection, this airport is really like an airport in the future world, full of technology. Such an airport is really great. Compared with it, the airports in our country are so backward that they can't be more backward. Yes, every time I go to the airport, I have to endure those staff who provide extremely poor service. This is just the airport. I really don't know what the city is like. The interest of many reporters has been fully aroused, at least from this airport. Kaiming City is really worthy of the name of a smart city. Okay, then let's go to Kaiming City next. Liu Qingping led many reporters and walked underground. Next, we will take the first vacuum maglev train in our country, and even in the world. When these words came out, all the reporters present were stunned. What did he say just now? Is it a high-speed rail? I have heard that the high-speed rail in country Z is very fast. It's not a high-speed rail, but a vacuum maglev train. I don't know what it is. Many foreign reporters looked confused, and domestic reporters had similar expressions. Vacuum and maglev train. I have never heard of it. Is it a faster high-speed rail? A reporter muttered. It should be a maglev train. Isn't there a maglev train in No, Mayor LIU is talking about a vacuum maglev train, which may be different. No matter what kind of train it is, it's still a high-speed train. It will probably be faster, reaching a speed of 400 to 500 kilometers. Our Z country's high-speed rail technology is still the best in the world. In the field of high-speed rail, Z country's technology was backward at the beginning and was monopolized by foreign countries. But as the saying goes, no matter what industry, as long as Z country enters the game, the so-called monopoly will soon be smashed to pieces. It only took Z country a short time to spread high-speed rail all over the country. During this time, no high-speed rail in foreign countries has been completed. Liu Kingping smiled and said, "Everyone, what we are going to take is not an ordinary high-speed rail, but a maglev train running in a vacuum tube. It is the first in the country and the first in the world to be successfully commercialized. The most important thing is that its speed reaches 4,200 kilometers per hour. How much? 4,200 kilometers per hour. Am I hallucinating?" Many reporters were confused and almost thought they had heard it wrong. This speed is 3 to 4 times the speed of supersonic sound, faster than the fastest fighter jet. Foreign reporters were also stunned. Oh my god, 4,200 kilometers per hour. How fast is this? Is this a train? Even airplanes are not that fast. Airplanes only travel at 700 to 800 kilometers per hour. This 4,000 kilometers is 5 times faster than airplanes. What kind of technology is this? It's incredible. Our country's high-speed rail only travels at a speed of more than 100 kilometers per hour. You at least have high-speed rail, but we don't even have high-speed rail. We only have ordinary trains, which travel at a speed of only tens of kilometers per hour. I'm really going crazy. Is the technology of country Z so advanced? It has surpassed us by so much. Yes, after visiting the airport just now, I feel like we are all living in a primitive society. At this time, everyone had already arrived at the underground first floor. This is an underground station. On one side of the platform, there was a capsule-like train about 50 meters long. The train was in a circular pipe, and the entire pipe seemed to be sealed. Liu Kingping pointed at the train and said, "This is our vacuum maglev train, the Kaiming. It runs in a vacuum tube, so there is no wind resistance, which is why it can reach a top speed of 4,200 kilometers. Without saying a word, many reporters took out their cameras and started taking pictures. Some reporters also asked their companions to turn on their cameras and shoot materials. Liu Kingping was immediately surrounded by many cameras. Liu Kingping pointed at the train and said, "The airport is 32.5 kilometers away from the station in the city center. It only takes 1 minute to reach the destination by taking our vacuum maglev train." Many reporters were stunned. More than 30 kilometers, arriving in 1 minute, too exaggerated. And it was less than a minute. Liu Kingping said, "In fact, at a speed of 4,200 kilometers per hour, theoretically, it only takes 30 seconds to complete the journey, but it still needs to speed up and slow down, so the final time is 52 seconds. In other words, you may have just got on the train and haven't found a seat to sit down, but you have already arrived at your destination." Many reporters burst into laughter. The foreign reporters laughed a little stiffly. This is simply black technology. The gap is too big. With the sound of the airtight door, the train door opened. Liu Kingping took the lead and walked in. Every time the door is opened, it must be sealed and locked to balance the air pressure, and then the door must be opened again. After the passengers are on board, the door is closed and vacuumed. The whole process is like the docking of a spaceship at a space station. Isn't it a vacuum? Why don't I feel stuffy at all? Yes, I feel like there is still wind. Many reporters looked around like curious babies. Liu Kingping said, "Although the pipeline is vacuum, the train has a circulating fresh air system, and it also has an oxygen production function. The oxygen content in the train is controlled by an intelligent computer. The exhaust gas generated during operation will be discharged when it arrives at the station. So even if there are many people, you won't feel stuffy. Okay, please take your seats, reporters. The train will start soon." The layout inside the train is different from that of ordinary high-speed trains. It may be because the journey is too short. Instead, it is like a subway, with only seats on both sides and railings in the middle. It's just like taking the subway, but it's much faster than the subway. In less than a minute, I'm afraid I'll arrive, before I even put down my luggage. 4,200 kilometers, it's really too fast. When we run later, will the person be running in front and the soul chasing behind? It's possible. It's running too fast. Chapter 231 Public Transportation System. The train started slowly. There was no sound of starting, but everyone could clearly feel the acceleration. The acceleration was not obvious, but the real-time speed displayed on the electronic screen at the front of the train frightened many people. The speed was almost 400 kilometers per hour, and in less than 10 seconds, it had reached a maximum speed of 4,200 kilometers. It really reached 4,200 kilometers. It's too exaggerated. This speed couldn't be faked. It shouldn't be, and you can figure it out yourself. We saw it on the plane just now. The city is still far away from the airport. If it really reaches the city within a minute, it may really reach 4,000 kilometers per hour. Many reporters were talking about it, and those foreign reporters were like seeing a ghost, taking pictures crazily. Brian pointed at the speed behind him and shouted, "Guys, did you see that? It's 4,200 kilometers per hour. My god, this is a miracle, an incredible number. Country Z's technology is too powerful, more than 100 years ahead of us. What is the future? This is the future. I'm so curious now. What surprises are waiting for me in this smart city?" 30 seconds later, the train began to slow down, quickly reaching zero and arriving at the terminal. 52 seconds, not a second more, not a second less, more than 30 kilometers, minus the time for acceleration and deceleration, 1 second for 1 kilometer, too scary. A reporter timed it and found that it really arrived at the destination in 52 seconds. He was so surprised that his eyes almost popped out. If this thing is popularized in the future, for example, from SZ to BJ, it will only take half an hour. It's much faster than taking a plane. If you don't come here, you don't know that our country's technology has been improved to this level. Many reporters talked about it and followed Liu Qingping off the train. The station in front of us, like the airport, uses a lot of artificial intelligence and holographic projection interaction, full of technology. The group followed Liu Qingping out of the station and then did not go to the ground, but went to the taxi waiting station. Liu Qingping introduced while walking, "In the smart city we are planning, there are no private cars. All travel is based on public transportation." As soon as this came out, many reporters were shocked again. "Mayor Liu, all rely on public transportation. Isn't that too inconvenient?" "Yes, then everyone will squeeze into the bus." Many reporters had question marks on their faces. Liu Qingping smiled mysteriously and said, "Let me keep you in suspense." As he said, the group also arrived at the taxi waiting station. Here, there is a bus with a very different shape. The overall shape is streamlined. Except for the chassis, the upper part of the body, and the top, it is all glass frame. When the group approached, the door opened automatically, and then a voice sounded, "Welcome to Kaiming City." Liu Qingping took many reporters on the bus. Normally, this bus can only carry 20 people, but in order to showcase our public transportation system, please squeeze in. Those who really couldn't fit in could take another bus. Hey, this bus doesn't have a driver? Someone suddenly noticed that this bus didn't have a driver. It's driverless. It really is, but has this technology matured? I remember that all the pilot cities in China also had people on board. We don't have a driver on board. Many reporters exclaimed. Liu Qingping opened the holographic projection operation program in front of the car and entered the destination, the city exhibition hall. Then, the two buses drove out of the underground passage. The moment they arrived on the ground, the almost sci-fi city was displayed in front of everyone. Click, click, click. Countless shutter sounds rang out, and many reporters felt their eyes were dazzled. They used their cameras to record the city in front of them. "Look, there's a car coming. It's heading straight for us. No, get out of the way." At this time, a reporter discovered that a small car with a similar shape but smaller, like a capsule, was heading straight for them. The bus they were riding on did not show any intention of braking. Liu, no, there's a car. A reporter quickly reminded. Liu Kingping waved his hand to signal the reporters to be quiet and said, don't panic, everyone. Next, I will show you our public transportation system in Kaiming City. Then everyone saw that the small car, which was turning 90 degrees and was about to hit the bus at the intersection, actually slowed down slightly at the moment it approached the small car and just missed the bus. And that's not all. While missing the bus, the small car accelerated again, turned, and caught up again, following the bus step by step. Many reporters were stunned, not knowing what happened. What happened? We didn't hit each other. This automatic driving is quite reliable. But why did this little car catch up again? Why is it running behind us all the time? And it's following us so closely. Aren't they afraid that we will brake suddenly and hit us? Many reporters were confused and some of them didn't understand. At this time, many reporters found that cars kept appearing on the city roads that extend in all directions. Some of them turned and followed the bus and then followed them one by one like a train. The bus also followed a car. The whole convoy was driving quietly on the road, just like a moving train. And many reporters noticed that some cars joined in and some cars took the initiative to change lanes and turn into other roads. The next car will automatically speed up to fill the gap left. Vehicles kept forming groups, gathering from various streets, and then dispersed to different streets. The whole process was like an extremely precise instrument without any mistakes. Many reporters were dumbfounded. Liu Kingping said, everyone, you should understand it. A reporter raised his hand and said, Mayor Liu, isn't it true that there are only these self-driving cars in the city, all controlled by artificial intelligence, so they will act according to the destination, drive automatically, and automatically form a formation. When they reach the destination, they will automatically stop. Liu Kingping nodded and said, yes, that's it. In Kaiming City, if you go to work in the morning and want to go out, you can tell your smart butler where you want to go when you are at home, and then the smart butler will plan it according to your itinerary. Maybe when you go downstairs, a car will be waiting for you at the door, and this small car can take up to 4 people, sitting face to face. You can go and experience it later. You don't have to drive. The car will automatically take you to your destination, so you can use the time on the road, whether it is to handle work or rest. Chapter 232, 100 years behind Zaya. As he was talking, the bus also arrived at the destination and slowly stopped at the special parking area. Many reporters got off the bus. Liu Kingping said, next, we will go to the city exhibition hall to visit. Here, we will fully display the wisdom of our Kaiming City. Many reporters were still in shock. The public transportation described by Liu Kingping was beyond their imagination. Mayor Liu, can we experience this public transportation again? A reporter asked. Other reporters also echoed. They only took it once and could not experience the details of this transportation method at all. Liu Kingping smiled and said, what's wrong with this? How about this? I will give you 2 hours to go around the city, and then we will meet here. Many reporters nodded quickly. There is a car calling system at each parking spot. Each reporter stepped forward and called the car. Soon, a convoy arrived quickly. Many reporters did not hesitate and got on the car quickly. Brian and Julian also got into an unmanned car. Wow, this car is very comfortable to sit in. The car looks small and exquisite from the outside, but the interior space is relatively large. The 2 rows of soft seats are placed opposite each other and can be folded down at a large angle. Even one row can be completely flat. In addition, there are seat slides on the ground, so you can lie diagonally in the car. The 2 got in the car, and a light was projected from the top of the car. Then a young man appeared in front of the 2 and said, guests from afar, where are you going? He spoke in English. Brian and Julian looked at each other and immediately understood that this was an artificial intelligence program. By the way, how did you know we were guests? Brian asked curiously. Julian next to him directly set up a camera and planned to record the whole process. The intelligent program raised his right hand, pointed to his wrist, and said, if you are a resident of Kaiming City, you will be issued an identity bracelet. Through this bracelet, all the data of the residents can be identified and added to the big data center. In this way, when the residents get on the car, they only need to say "I want to go home" or other keywords, and it will automatically drive to the destination. And every resident will have an exclusive intelligent program, which is equivalent to a personal butler, responsible for their daily life, helping them to travel, buy items, etc. You don't have an identity bracelet, and according to my information, there should be reporters visiting today, so you should be reporters from afar, right? Brian was surprised. Every time he faced artificial intelligence, he felt shocked. Then do you have any recommendations? Brian thought for a while and said. The intelligent program said, I think you, as reporters, must want to know more about Kaiming City. Now that you choose to take public transportation, I will take you to have a more comprehensive understanding of our intelligent transportation. As he spoke, the windows around him automatically became clear, and then the car automatically got on the road and merged into a convoy, watching the continuous flow of vehicles entering and leaving at the intersection. Brian found that the entire city did not even have traffic lights. All the cars were driving on their own lanes. Brian couldn't help but ask, won't there be traffic jams with this mode of transportation? The intelligent program said, of course there will be, but we have some ways to ease the traffic pressure. For example, the roads will be divided into fast lanes and slow lanes. If the destination is far away, or if you are in a hurry, you will drive into the fast lane. The fast lane can effectively share the traffic pressure by driving on the fast road. At the same time, we have set up 7,368 transportation transfer stations throughout the city. In this way, cars can be arranged nearby at any time. When the car arrives at the destination and no one calls the car nearby, the car will automatically return to the transportation transfer station. In this way, the number of cars on the road will be effectively reduced, and there will be no empty driving, which will increase traffic pressure. Of course, if it is really the morning rush hour, then we can only move slowly. After all, traffic jams are a major problem worldwide. We can only optimize the transportation system, but we can't completely alleviate this problem. Brian nodded secretly and couldn't help but say to the camera, guys, do you see this? This is the way of travel in the future. It is so high-tech and advanced. It seems like it is a different world from us. Think about the narrow roads and congested traffic in London, and then look at this incredible technological feat. I feel that we will lag behind Xiago by 100 years. I used to think that our Y country and M country were the most advanced countries in the world, but now I want to say that Xiago is the most advanced country in the world. From virtual reality to mecha, it has led the technological progress. I heard that this Kaiming city is an experimental city. Once the test results are good, it will be promoted nationwide. By that time, every city in Xiago will become like this, and the gap between us and Xiago will only get bigger and bigger. I really can't imagine how wonderful it would be to live in such a city. Brian was so excited that his saliva flew all over the place. The shock he brought to him along the way was really too great. At this time, the car also arrived at the transportation transfer station. Brian saw a steady stream of cars driving in and out. The intelligent program said, we are doing stress testing now. There are actually no people in those cars. As he said, the car they were riding in also entered the transportation transfer station. The intelligent program introduced, this is a huge underground parking lot. When the car arrives here, it will automatically park. If the battery is low, it will automatically go to the charging station for wireless charging. If the car is damaged, it will automatically go to the repair shop for repair. The entire transportation transfer station is fully automated. In theory, there are no staff. Brian patted Julian and signaled him to take a quick photo. The car circled the transportation transfer station before returning to the ground. The intelligent program said, then next, I will take you to see the main landmark buildings in the city. Brian nodded. At this moment, the car suddenly stopped, and Brian noticed that not only their car, but also the surrounding cars all stopped in unison. What's wrong? Brian was stunned. At this moment, a row of cars suddenly appeared on the road ahead. Unlike all public transportation cars, this was a convoy composed of 3 hunky cars. Wherever they passed, all the buses gave way and quickly disappeared from Brian's sight. Then, the car restarted. Brian hurriedly said, "Didn't they say that private cars are not allowed in this city? What happened to that car just now?" And not only private cars were on the road, but all cars actually gave way on their own initiative. The intelligent program smiled and said, "That is a special vehicle. Only some special people can ride it." Brian understood instantly that it might be an important person traveling in the red flag car that was driving away. Chen Royan looked out the window and said in surprise, "Is this Kaiming City? It's so beautiful." Zhou Yang, who was opposite, was quietly looking at the documents and said casually, "I remember there should be a forest park here. Let's go there later." The driver in front heard it and turned immediately. Wherever he passed, all the automatically driving cars stopped and gave way. Chapter 233 A Day in Kaiming City. Chen Royan nodded. Today was their first time in Kaiming City. In Kaiming City, of course, Zhou Yang's home is also located in the north of the city with the best scenery. At this time, Li Ziyu next to him suddenly put down his mobile phone and said, "Sir, Director Li is here and said he has something to talk to you about. He has already arrived at your home." Zhou Yang quickly looked up and looked at Chen Royan. Chen Royan had no expression on her face, but Zhou Yang's heart skipped a beat and he quickly said, "Let him wait and say I'm busy now." Chen Royan snorted and said, "Forget it. He must have something to talk to you about. I'll go to the forest park by myself and let Ziyu accompany me." "No, I'll go with you," Zhou Yang said. Chen Royan smiled and didn't refuse. It's called a forest park, but it's actually an artificial park. The small peak in the middle is also made of earth and stones dug from other places. However, the design of the entire forest park was created by Fuxi, and it's generally good. There is also a zoo around it. Zhou Yang accompanied Chen Royan for a walk in the park before driving back to his home in the north of the city. Zhou Yang's home is a quiet Sioux-style garden villa in a bustling area. The surrounding area is basically full of such buildings, which is equivalent to a wealthy area. There must be a wealthy area in any city, and there is no need for everyone to live in the same environment to show fairness. Everything in the house is ready. Chen Royan excitedly went to visit the house, while Zhou Yang came to the living room. Li Xianshu was still there. He must have been waiting for a while, but he didn't have any dissatisfaction. When he saw Zhou Yang, he quickly stood up. "Mr. Zhou, what do you think of Kaiming City?" Li Xianshu asked with a smile. Zhou Yang nodded and said, "Not bad. It has a bit of the flavor of a future city. The entire city is completely built on the basis of artificial intelligence. In this city, every aspect is inseparable from artificial intelligence. If you add intelligent robots, it will be a future world." After asking Li Xianshu to sit down, Zhou Yang asked, "What do you want to talk to me about?" Li Xianshu nodded and said, "The life science research team you asked me to organize is almost ready and can be deployed at any time. What do you plan to do?" "The laboratory has been built a long time ago and should be completed soon." Zhou Yang has always kept the nanomedical machine in mind. "I remember that the laboratory should be completed by the end of August. Let's ask them to come by the end of August. By the way, do you have the information of the leader?" Zhou Yang asked. Li Xianshu nodded and handed over a document. Zhou Yang opened it. The first person was called Gao Cheng. Judging from the photo, he should be in his 40s or 50s. He has a rich resume. He has a PhD in life sciences from Oxford University. After returning to China, he joined the Life Sciences Institute of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. At the age of 42, he was already an academician of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. He can be regarded as a big shot in the field of life sciences. "Okay, it's him." Zhou Yang nodded with satisfaction. Gao Cheng's research field is nanomedical applications. It is probably because of this reason that he was selected by the country. After chatting for a while, Li Xianshu said goodbye and left. At the same time, after the media open day ended, reports about Kaiming City began to occupy the front page headlines of major media. CCTV channels specially broadcast a 3-episode documentary to record the construction of Kaiming City. Many people who signed up for the lottery also paid attention to this matter as soon as possible. Because there has been no news about Kaiming City since the registration, programmer Yuanzi had dinner early and waited in front of the TV to watch the documentary. "Husband, do you think we can be selected?" Yuanzi's wife Lin Qian asked while holding her big belly. Who knows? I saw on the internet that there were 80 million households registered and 800,000 households were finally selected. This is 1 in 100, but I hope to be selected, Yuanzi said. He is currently working for an internet company in BJ, and the company has decided to open a branch in Kaiming City. This is also the practice of many companies, because everyone knows that Kaiming City will be the core of the development core of country Z in the next 10 years. After all, the country has invested so much money in it. Lin Kian said, it's better to be selected, so that we can have a home. The two of them are now renting a house in BJ. Their previous salaries were not low. In the past few years of marriage, they have saved about 1 million yuan, but it is still almost impossible to buy a house in BJ. And this time, the lottery for Kaiming City gave Yuanzi an opportunity. A new city with unlimited development opportunities, and Yuanzi had seen that there was a discussion online that, if you are selected by lottery to become a resident of Kaiming City, you will definitely not have to think about the allocation of housing at that time, but you may buy a house in Kaiming City at a more favorable price. Yuanzi felt that with the savings in their hands, they should be able to pay a down payment for a house in Kaiming City. In this case, it just so happens that his company has opened a branch in Kaiming City, and he can also work here, which is perfect. The time came to 8 o'clock, and the documentary began to play. The first episode is called A Day in Kaiming City. The protagonist is fictional, named Chen Zhao, and is an office worker. The documentary begins with recording Chen Zhao's daily life. At 6 o'clock in the morning, the alarm clock wakes Chen Zhao up. The curtains in the house automatically open, soothing music plays, and an intelligent program appears in the form of a projection to greet Chen Zhao. Handsome boy, what do you want to eat today? I recommend centrifuges crab roe buns. They just launched a new product yesterday. Now the new product is on sale. One is 8 yuan. With your salary, eating 5 or 6 of them is just a drizzle. The intelligent program said playfully. Chen Zhao was washing up, and his dressing mirror was also scrolling some daily information in real time, such as road travel conditions, weather conditions, the latest news, etc. Okay, try it. Chen Zhao said casually. Okay. The intelligent program smiled and nodded, saying, the order has been placed. It will be delivered in about 12 minutes. The scene turned and appeared in a busy kitchen, which should be San Fuji. Order 1823, go. Then a package takeaway was put into a box under a drone by a special person. The drone took off quickly and disappeared in the sky. And in the picture, we can see that drones are constantly landing and taking off, and the styles are all the same. Yuanzi couldn't help but open his mouth wide and said, using drones to deliver food, is it so exaggerated? Lin Kian also nodded blankly and said, if this is promoted, Mecha and Hungary will go bankrupt. On TV, drones shuttled in the air, and it can be seen that there are many drones flying in the city. Soon, the drone arrived at the community where Chen Zhao lived, and it landed directly on a raised platform on the balcony. Just as Chen Zhao finished washing and dressing, he came to the balcony to take away breakfast. Chapter 234. This is simply a pleasure. In a luxurious villa, Wang Crossing, CEO of Mechas, poured himself a glass of wine and watched the documentary on TV leisurely. When he saw the part about drones delivering food, Wang Crossing burst out laughing. With his eyes wide open, Wang Crossing watched in disbelief as the drone quickly arrived at Chen Zhao's neighborhood and dropped the food on the balcony. Wang Crossing hurriedly took out his phone and dialed a number. When the call was connected, Wang Crossing immediately said, did you see it? There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone, and then he said, I saw it, but I don't know how it achieved precise positioning. Satellite positioning can accurately locate every household, but it should not be possible to locate a specific floor. Mechas has also tried drone delivery, but it turned out to be too difficult. One is that the drones fly around randomly, which is not allowed by national policies. The other is that the positioning is inaccurate and it cannot be delivered to the designated location. Of course, how to recover the drone, what to do if it exceeds the control distance, runs out of power and falls, etc. are no longer a problem. In short, this thing looks easy, but it is still very difficult to do it. But in the documentary, it was done easily. The technical content is very high. If this is done, How much cost can be saved? Wang Crossing murmured. Although it is definitely a big investment to buy a large number of drones, the labor cost is getting higher and higher now. Buying tens of thousands of drones is a one-time investment, while hiring tens of thousands of delivery men means that they have to pay wages every month. And personnel management is also a huge cost. The person on the other end of the phone continued, I feel it is still related to artificial intelligence. There must be a special positioning mode and artificial intelligence big data for guidance. For example, each drone is interconnected with the main control center and navigated through the drone's camera. It is equivalent to having a person behind to control the drone to complete the entire delivery process. Wang Crossing nodded slowly. He felt that it should be like this. However, the authority of artificial intelligence is firmly controlled by the state. The companies do not get the top level. The highest level of artificial intelligence like Fuxi can only be said to be weakened artificial intelligence, so its functions are limited. Beidou is doing this now. For example, if a company needs an artificial intelligence that can process data of millions of people, it will cost a price, and the artificial intelligence it gets can only process data of millions of people. If you want a high level artificial intelligence with data from tens of millions of people, you have to pay more, or even not sell it at all. The core technology is in the hands of Beidou, and no one can do anything about it. No, it's just a pilot city now. If this thing is promoted, it will be a disaster for us. Tomorrow, I will go to Beidou to talk again. No matter what, I must get a higher level of artificial intelligence. Then you organize people for me to study the model in the TV and see how to break through the technical difficulties. Wang Crossing hung up the phone, and his mood could not calm down for a long time. On the other side, Yuanzi and Lin Qian continued to watch TV. This kind of life is so sci-fi. Lin Qian sighed. Yuanzi nodded in agreement and said, it's simply the future world. I can't believe that this kind of life is so close to us. Then he pointed to the TV and said, look, it seems that everything can be projected. On TV, Chen Zhao was eating breakfast, but while eating, a projection appeared on his dining table, allowing Chen Zhao to browse the news and check emails while eating. After breakfast, a white and fat robot appeared. It's Dabei. Lin Qian shouted excitedly, and then said pitifully, when can we buy a Dabei? After such a long time on sale, the number of Dabei has increased. With the income of Yuanzi and Lin Qian, they can certainly afford Dabei, but they have to give up to save money for buying a house. On TV, Dabei helped Chen Zhao put away the tableau on the table, and then said, Master, I hope you have a good day. Chen Zhao touched Dabei's head and walked out of the room. In the room, Dabei picked up the mop and started cleaning. Yuanzi was stunned and said in surprise, does Dabei have this function? On the internet, of course, there are videos of Dabei doing housework, and even Zhou Yang took a video of Dabei mopping the floor. But those videos are all ordered by the owner to do Dabei, and they are not very good. In short, it seems that it is not very flexible and inefficient. But the Dabei on TV is extremely skilled, mopping the floor, wiping the table, and folding clothes, just like a robot nanny. Lin Qian said, this Dabei seems to be more flexible. Is it an upgraded version? It should be. Yuanzi nodded, and then said dejectedly, it should not be cheap. At this time, Chen Zhao on TV also took the elevator downstairs. He could see that the environment in the community was very good. Later, when he arrived at the gate of the community, a sci-fi car suddenly stopped in front of Chen Zhao. The car door opened automatically, and Chen Zhao got in directly. What kind of car is this? It's so small and cute. Lin Qian said with bright eyes. Yuanzi noticed something and said, why doesn't this car have a driver? The camera scanned the interior space of the car and clearly saw that there were only 2 rows of seats, but no driver, and even no steering wheel. It's driverless. Yuanzi exclaimed. The car door closed, started to leave, and the camera deliberately gave a shot of the car logo. Bide. In his own villa, Wang Haoning saw this shot on TV and waved his fist excitedly, and then he felt a pain in his flesh again. Just for this 1 second of the shot, he sponsored 100 million. It's really driverless. Lin Qian exclaimed. On TV, Chen Zhao, who entered the car, adjusted the seat, lay down directly, and then took out an ultra-thin mobile phone from his briefcase. The camera lens was fixed on the logo on the back of the phone, a chrysanthemum. For this lens, Warwick also sponsored 100 million. Although HiSilicon has been acquired by the state, brothers still settle accounts clearly. A projection appeared in the car, which was the image of the smart program that appeared before, saying, "Handsome man, there is a little traffic jam this morning. The estimated arrival time is 7:32. By the way, do you want to listen to a song?" Chen Zhao nodded, and then music appeared in the car. Yuanzi and Lin Qian's eyes were straight. "This is not driving, it's just enjoying it," Lin Qian said sourly. Yuanzi nodded in agreement. They went to work in the morning, walked to shared bicycles, then went back and forth on the bus and subway, and finally took a shared bicycle. More than 2 hours a day were spent on the road, and they also had to enjoy catching the bus and squeezing with people in the subway. It was simply a torture. Seeing Chen Zhao's work process, the two were really jealous. Chapter 235 How to obtain citizenship of Country Z. But is it safe to drive without a driver? Yuanzi asked with a frown. Driverless cars have been around for a long time, but they have been around for so long that they still feel unsafe. At this time, the camera on the TV was pushed open and came to the outside of the car. "What's going on?" Yuanzi exclaimed. The car drove out of the small road outside the community, turned into the wide main road, and then took the initiative to merge, and followed a convoy of more than a dozen identical cars. At this time, the voice of the narrator sounded. In Kaiming City, private cars are not allowed for the time being. All travel is public transportation. Residents choose public transportation to reach every corner of the city and pay the corresponding rent every month, based on the number of kilometers driven. On TV, after following the convoy for a while, the car took the initiative to change lanes and left, turning into another lane, and then automatically followed another convoy. The whole process was as precise as an instrument, with no error. Yuanzi and Lin Qian were stunned. Cars kept merging in and out, and the convoy also maintained the same speed in its own lane. When it reached a place with heavy traffic, it would automatically stop and wait for the traffic to clear before continuing to set off. It was as if an invisible hand was controlling the whole process. "This is too magical." Yuanzi opened his mouth wide. Lin Qian next to him had a similar expression. The scene in front of him was no longer science fiction, but magic. On the screen, Chen Zhao finally arrived at his destination, got off the car directly, and arrived at the company. It can be seen that cars are constantly arriving, getting off, and then the cars leave automatically. Next, Chen Zhao was filmed at work like a silhouette, and he had a holographic meeting with people from all over the world, and then he got off work and went home in the same car. At home, with the help of Dabe, he finished dinner, and had some entertainment in the virtual space. At 10 o'clock, he turned off the lights and went to bed on time. The documentary ended here. Yuanzi and Lin Qian looked at each other, and Lin Qian suddenly said, "Husband, why don't we go to the temple to worship tomorrow and bless us to be drawn? Is this okay?" Yuanzi was a little amused, but after thinking about it, he nodded. Who doesn't want such a life? Yuanzi felt that if one really wanted to achieve a life like the one in the documentary, the cost should not be low. Those messy functional things would definitely not be given for free, but as the first batch of people to try it out, there would definitely be benefits and discounts. The documentary was over. The internet was instantly in an uproar. Discussions about Kaiming City were everywhere. Is this a smart city? I admit that I'm crazy. This is simply the future world. It is really unimaginable that such a life is so close to us. This documentary has 3 episodes, and this is only the first episode. Maybe there will be other content in the next 2 episodes. Forget about other content. Just based on the content revealed in this episode, I already want to move there. Damn, this is what life is like. Who doesn't want to? The key is whether you can get a chance to live there. Alas, I regret it now. I thought there must be a lot of people who signed up, and I wouldn't be able to get a chance to live there. If I had known it was such a smart city, I would have signed up anyway. I just want to know, is it too late to sign up now? It doesn't matter. If I can't become a resident, I can always go to visit it when the time comes. There was a lot of discussion on the internet. The relevant companies were also shocked by the smart life depicted in the documentary. This is not a documentary at all. It is simply a business guide, telling companies what kind of products to make in order to sell well in the future. However, some companies, like One Crossing, are a little panicked. For example, when major car companies see the way of travel in Kaiming City, it is like opening a new world. They feel that their 3 views have been overturned, and they know that transportation can be done to this extent. Fully automatic driving, calling a car anytime and anywhere, such travel is simply enjoyable. After everyone has adapted to this way of travel, who will take a car that they have to drive themselves? When that day really comes, it will be a nightmare for car companies all over the world. Moreover, in the documentary, the Bide car logo shot made countless car companies exclaim that the wolf is coming. Taking advantage of the dividends of the Lungsan battery, Bide's electric vehicles have undoubtedly become the world's top electric vehicle manufacturer, and even Tesla has been abused. Now, many car companies can already predict that Bide will take off again. At the same time, the documentary was also broadcast abroad. In addition to the various reports brought back by the media from various countries, such as the public transportation system and the Vakur-Maglev train with a speed of 4,000 km per hour, many foreigners said they couldn't stand it. In their impression, Country Z is not a developing country, but a developed country. How come this developing country has developed to this point? Countless foreign netizens exclaimed online. Who is the developed country? There are even more foreigners asking how to live such a life. The highly praised answer received tens of millions of likes. The first way is to join the nationality of Country Z, but this is more difficult because the nationality of Country Z is the most difficult nationality in the world. However, if you are a top scientist, athlete, or something like that, you may refer to this and apply for the nationality of Country Z. It should be possible to pass and then participate in the lottery. With a 1% chance, you may be selected and become a resident of Kaiming City. The second way, if you are just an ordinary person, then the best way is to go to Country Z. Find a single Country Z person who has won the lottery, marry him, and get a permanent green card by relying on him, and then you can become a resident of Kaiming City. But as far as I know, the people of Country Z are all appearance oriented. If you are ugly, you should give up as soon as possible. Among the millions of comments below, there are also comments from people of Country Z. Beautiful women are okay, but men are not. I'm a Country Z, single, and have participated in the lottery. Yesterday, my ancestor told me in a dream that I will definitely be selected this time. If you want to enter Kaiming City, please contact me as soon as possible. There are really a lot of replies under this comment, and even photos have been exposed, including some blonde beauties. Now the influence of Country Z is growing, especially as virtual space is promoted all over the world. It is unstoppable. Originally, countries were looking forward to doing business all over the world in virtual space, but after it was really opened, they found that it was completely nonsense. Their own products could not be sold, while cheap and good products from Country Z came. But they can't ban it. Once they ban it, their own citizens will oppose it. As ordinary people, they don't care who does business with them, as long as it is cheap and good. Moreover, virtual space is like magic. Once you enjoy it, it is impossible to give it up. Add to that the RMB settlement, and those big countries are better off, while small and medium-sized countries can be said to be tortured to death. They want to resist, but they dare not. If they don't resist, they will die slowly. Some small countries just spread their legs and give up resistance. You can do whatever you want. Chapter 236 Opening Ceremony. In the next 2 days, CCTV broadcast the remaining 2 episodes of the documentary. The second episode was about the speed of Z country. On the one hand, it introduced the process of building Kaiming City and how many technical difficulties were overcome, and then it introduced the Vakur-Maglev train in detail. The speed of 4,200 km per hour shocked everyone. And this way of travel is not a dream, but a reality. Many people said that, even if they did not win the lottery, they must go to Kaiming City to ride the Vakur-Maglev train. The last episode was called Looking to the Future. First, it introduced how to maintain the operation of Kaiming City, a super large artificial intelligence program, a controlled nuclear fusion, to provide energy for the city, and a public transportation transfer station, various basic urban services, such as intelligent robots to collect garbage, the supply of urban goods, etc. At the same time, it also showed some details of Kaiming City in depth, such as the residents' wristbands, which can do anything, and more humane designs, the addition of underground pedestrian passages, etc. Finally, it was a look into the future, saying that it plans to promote the technological achievements of Kaiming City to the whole country within 10 years. In short, after 3 episodes of the documentary, not only the Chinese people, but also people all over the world, have a deep understanding of this smart city. Surprise, envy, jealousy, all kinds of reports flooded the media, as if overpass, the whole world was discussing the smart city. And the Chinese people are more concerned about when the lottery will start, and who will win the jackpot. The official also announced the lottery process, as soon as possible. On August 10th, the opening ceremony of Kaiming City will be broadcast live nationwide. At that time, Zhou Yang will be the representative to start the lottery process, and then draw 800,000 residents from all the applicants. Those who are drawn will receive a text message reminder. As for when to officially move into Kaiming City, the official did not give a time. Kaiming City. These days, Zhou Yang has been staying in Kaiming City, waiting for the completion ceremony. Let me be the representative to start the lottery process. How can this be possible? After listening to the process, Zhou Yang hurriedly shook his head and refused. Such a big thing should be left to the big leaders. Li Xianshu said, Mr. Zhao, Kaiming City, from the project establishment to the construction, and then to the completion, can be said to be promoted by you. Without the technologies you developed, there would be no Kaiming City today. Letting you draw lots is also the intention of the higher-ups. No. Zhou Yang still refused. This kind of thing is too eye-catching. Li Xianshu said, now that the process has been announced, it may not be a good idea to modify it. Zhou Yang had no choice but to nod and agree. August 10th. The opening ceremony will be held in the city center of Kaiming City. It will start at 8 AM. Everyone is waiting in front of the TV early to watch the live broadcast. There are also many people who watch the live broadcast through their mobile phones or virtual space. If you stick your head out, you'll get a knife. Today is the day. I've already paid enough incense money to God yesterday. Let's see if there will be a big prize today. I don't dare to watch it anymore. Can anyone tell me when the lottery starts? I'll just wait for the text message. And this time, not only ordinary people, but also many celebrities and internet celebrities have signed up. As a gimmick, some people even live broadcast waiting for the lottery. Kaiming City, Civic Center. Leaders from all parties gathered, and now ordinary people were invited to attend. In the car on the way to the Civic Center, Chen Ruoyan said nervously, why am I a little scared? Zhou Yang next to him gently grabbed his wife's hand and said, you are a top agent after all, the kind who can fight a dozen people alone, and you are not afraid of bullets and rain of bullets. Why are you scared now? That's different, okay? I saw on the internet that it seems that people all over the country will watch the live broadcast. So many people are watching. What if I embarrass you? And I have such a big belly. Chen Ruoyan covered her belly. Although she was wearing a beautiful dress, she couldn't hide her belly that was nearly 6 months old. Zhou Yang said, what are you afraid of? I'm here. Your husband is a big shot when he stands there. Who dares to look down on us? Chen Ruoyan rolled her eyes at Zhou Yang and said, are you belittling me in disguise? How dare I? What I mean is that I'm the C position and you are the C position among the C positions. Zhou Yang said quickly. Chen Ruoyan snorted and felt a little calmer. At this time, the car also arrived at the destination. Let's go. Chen Ruoyan hummed, took a deep breath, and followed Zhou Yang out of the car. The camera was aimed at Zhou Yang at the first time. The audience across the country also saw Zhou Yang on TV at the first time. Here he comes. That man is here. Whether you can win the jackpot today depends on this man. Yesterday I specially printed a photo of Zhou Yang and put it up for display. I hope I can draw it today. Put it up for display. Are you serious? Then you are done. You will definitely not win the prize. At this time, many people noticed Chen Royan beside Zhou Yang. Hey, is she pregnant? Yes, Mr. Zhou has a baby, congratulations. Oh, my idol is not only married, but he even has a child. Never mind, I'm the woman he will never get. Congratulations were heard all over the internet. At this time, Zhou Yang and Chen Royan also greeted the leaders. Congratulations. After the leaders exchanged pleasantries, they all congratulated. Chen Royan's pretty face flushed, especially after she saw her old leader Han Haiping in the crowd. After the pleasantries were over, Chen Royan went to greet Han Haiping. Congratulations. Han Haiping said with a smile. Director, long time no see. Chen Royan said. Han Haiping said with a smile. It's been a long time since we last met. We are from the 6th Special Intelligence Bureau, so we are your family, right? Some people really marry a good husband, and they are so happy every day that they forget about their family. Chen Royan's old face turned red, and she quickly said, it's not like that. I want to go back. Okay. Han Haiping waved his hand and said, I was just joking. Can you really blame you, Royan? I watched you grow up, and I know everything you have been through. To the country, you are also a hero, but I was very worried. What will happen after you retire one day? How can people like us who are used to darkness live in the light? But fortunately, you met him. Han Haining looked at Zhou Yang in the middle of the crowd in the distance, and said with a click of his tongue, he is handsome, and so young. He is also a genius who has made such a great contribution to the country. If I were a woman, I would be willing to marry him. Treasure him, and always remember that we are your family. If he bullies you one day, tell me. We dare not help you deal with him, but at least we can provide you with a place to hide. Han Haining said, and quietly disappeared into the crowd. Chen Royan's eyes were instantly red. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237 I won it with my real ability, why can't I show off? The opening ceremony went very quickly. The whole process was that all the leaders came on stage to speak. Zhou Yang also came on stage and said a few simple words. After more than an hour, the ceremony finally came to an end. Then now, please invite Academician Zhou Yang to help us draw 800,000 people from all the people who have registered for the Kaiming City residence. The host Zhou Sa said loudly. With applause, Zhou Yang walked onto the stage. The camera was all aimed at Zhou Yang. In front of the TV, the hearts of all the people who signed up were instantly raised to their throats. Here it comes. The most critical moment is here. Life and death are determined by fate, and wealth and honor are determined by God. I don't believe that I won't win today. My fate is determined by me, not by God. May my ancestors bless me, and I will win today. On the internet, countless people began to chant. On the scene, Academician Zhou, what is your mood now? Do you have anything to say to the audience in front of the TV? Zhou Sa asked. Zhou Yang thought for a moment and said, as for my mood, I'm worried that after today, many people will hate me tomorrow. Zhou Sa smiled knowingly and said, I think those who didn't win the lottery won't hate you. Hearing this, there was a lot of howling on the internet. No, I will hate you for the rest of my life. I will always remember that it was you who personally wiped out my happiness. At this moment, I feel that Zhou Yang has established a spiritual connection with me. I'm him, and he is me. I feel it. I'm going to win. I must win. My wife told me that if I don't win today, she won't let me go to bed at night. For my happiness, Mr. Zhou, you have to do your best. Zhou Yang continued. As for what to say to the audience, I want to tell those who are drawn not to show off too much, or they will get beaten. There was laughter at the scene. And there was laughter on the internet as well. Impossible. If I were chosen, I would hold up a big sign and run around the community naked to make them jealous. Yes, I got it with my real ability. Why can't I show off and make those who didn't get it angry to death? Ha ha ha. On the scene, Zhou Yang continued. At the same time, those who didn't get it should not be discouraged. Be patient. There will be bread. There will be milk. I think in a few years, we Z people will be the envy of everyone in the world. Good. Ziosa shouted excitedly. The applause at the scene also became warm. And there was even more cheering on the internet. Not a few years later, right now, we are also the most envied people in the world. I will never regret entering China in this life, and I will still be a Z person in the next life. Thank you Academician Zhao. Without you, we would not be so arrogant today. Sprinkle flowers and blessings. I hope Mr. Zhao can give birth to a beautiful baby. No, it's best to give birth to twins, and it's better to give birth to more, otherwise it will be a waste of Mr. Zhao's genes. On the scene, Zhou Yang said, then let's get started. In the center of the booth, a small display stand rose up. On the display stand, there was only a red button. On the large screen behind him, ID numbers began to scroll frantically. For a moment, the internet seemed to have lost its sound. Zhou Yang took a deep breath, pressed the button, then stood aside, and began to applaud with the crowd. On the large screen, a countdown began to appear. 10 seconds countdown. 3, 2, 1. The picture stopped, and the screen returned to darkness. The applause at the scene became enthusiastic again. Zhou Yang said, okay, 800,000 residents have been drawn. Those who have been drawn should have received text messages by now. Congratulations to you. The internet was completely blown up. That's it. Why didn't I receive the text message? I didn't receive it either. Did they send too many text messages and delay it again? Stop it. There are only 800,000 people in total, and many of them are families of 3 or couples who registered as households. One quota occupies 2 to 3 people, so there are not even 800,000 text messages. Do you think there will be a delay? Be realistic. You just didn't win. It's over. I burned incense for 2 days, donated a lot of incense money, bathed and changed clothes under the guidance of the old host, fasted and burned incense for 2 days, but I didn't win. It was all in vain. Some cried miserably, and some showed off. Although Zhou Yang said not to show off, if you don't show off something that everyone in the country envies, you will suffocate to death. Starriba updated a picture on Weibo. My heart is beating too fast. I can't bear it. The ambulance is on the way to the hospital, but I still want to show it. I was selected. From now on, I will be Mr. Zhao's neighbor. In the photo, Reba is holding a mobile phone. On the mobile phone is a text message congratulating you on being selected as a resident of Kaiming City. She is so excited that she can't help herself. Under the Weibo, various celebrities have also been blown up, full of envy and blessings. I don't know who suddenly said, Reba, let's get married. I also want to go to Kaiming City. Many people woke up. Reba is still unmarried, and it is entirely possible to become a resident of Kaiming City by marrying Reba. Some single male celebrities in the circle began to confess. Reba even replied to a Weibo post specifically, you guys have had enough. On Douyin, a video suddenly ignited the entire network and rushed to the top of the hot list. In a community in a certain city, a man held a cardboard sign with a large red word I won on it. He took off all his clothes except for his shorts and ran wildly in the community. Everyone who saw him looked at him sideways. Fuck, this guy's really ruthless. I think I saw him before. He said that, if he was picked, he would run naked in the community with a sign. I didn't expect that he would really be picked. Really? If I had known this, I might have made a more ruthless oath just now. Maybe I would have won. These people are enough. We are already sad enough, and they are still so angry with us. Haha, you are the ones who are angry. I also won. I envy you to death. Oh my god, is this really true? Did they blow up the big guys? Is the upstairs still single? I think you are very handsome. BJ. The community where Yuanzi and Lin Kai and Qian live. The two have been watching the live broadcast, but their mobile phones have been muted and turned upside down on the table. The two are a little afraid to look at their phones. On TV, Zhou Yang announced the end and said that the text messages should have arrived. Husband, take a look. Lin Kai and Qian said in a trembling voice. Yuanzi shook his head and said, no, you watch it. The two of them hesitated for several minutes and finally mustered up the courage to pick up the phone. A notification text message appeared on the standby screen. Win. Yuanzi was completely stunned. Lin Kai and Kian next to him quickly grabbed the phone, opened the text message, and excitedly read the entire text message. Finally, she screamed and excitedly pressed Yuanzi under her body. Chapter 238, Appointment for Room Selection. After a long time, Yuanzi and Lin Kai and Kian calmed down and carefully checked the content of the text message. There was also a reminder in the text message, asking the two to log into the official website of Kaiming City and pre-select a house. Yes, select a house. Yuanzi suppressed his excitement and quickly took out his notebook to log into the official website of Kaiming City. On the official website, there is already an option to make an appointment to select a house. The two clicked in, registered according to the instructions, and logged in. Along with a welcome message of the 306,728th Kaiming City resident, or three-dimensional view of Kaiming City appeared on the web page. In the three-dimensional map, the planning of each block of Kaiming City was introduced in detail. The residential areas are basically together. Lin Kai and Kian said. The key is the housing price. Yuanzi clicked on a community in the west of the city, and the information introduction of the community appeared. At the same time, the price also came out. 32,000. Lin Kai and Kian exclaimed. Yuanzi also widened his eyes, his face full of disbelief. Is it so cheap? Yuanzi hurriedly clicked on other communities, and the prices were surprisingly similar, all fluctuating around 30,000. The highest price for those closer to the city center is about 35,000 yuan, and the price for those farther away is about 28,000 yuan. However, Yuanzi also noticed that the planning of the surrounding areas of these communities is similar regardless of their distance. In addition, since they rely on public transportation for travel, there is actually not much difference. Lin Kai and Kian hugged Yuanzi excitedly and said, "Husband, we finally have our own house." Yuanzi nodded vigorously and said, "About 30,000 yuan, we can buy a house of 100 square meters, which is about 3 million yuan. We now have a deposit of 1.6 million yuan, and a 50% down payment is enough. Isn't 100 square meters a bit small? How about buying a bigger one, a 4-bedroom house of about 140 square meters? When I give birth to a baby, your parents can come and help take care of it." Lin Kai and Kian said. Yuanzi thought about it and nodded. A 140 square meter house is only 4.2 million yuan. He saw that the mortgage policy of Kaiming City is biased towards talents. Masters like Yuanzi can enjoy a 30% down payment 4.2 million yuan. A 30% down payment is only 1.26 million yuan, which is completely enough for their savings. Gritting his teeth, Yuanzi said, "Okay, I'll listen to you. I'll choose the one that costs 140 yuan. At that moment, the two began to discuss the house selection. They finally chose a community in the middle of the city in the east of the city. The house price was 30,500 yuan, and they chose a 142 square meter house on the edge. Hey, you can only make an appointment, but you can't lock it." Lin Kai and Kian quickly noticed that the house they chose could only be reserved, but not locked. And they also saw the number of people who chose each house in the building they chose. The top floor and the middle floor had already been selected. I didn't look carefully. If you choose it repeatedly, there will be a bidding process, and the highest bidder will win. Then he prompted us to choose a few more houses, so as not to miss the one we like in the end. Yuanzi looked at the prompt again, only to find that there was still a bidding process, and it would not be officially locked until August 15th. Then choose a few more. Lin Kai and Kian didn't say anything. Life is not satisfactory. He felt very happy to be selected and buy a house at a price of 31,000 yuan per square meter. The couple selected a few alternative houses in other communities before looking at other options. Everything costs money. Lin Kai and Kian frowned. In addition to the house, you can also check the prices of some other city services at this time. For example, the exclusive smart program costs 8,000 yuan per year, and the most important public travel costs 1.2 cents per kilometer, based on the number of kilometers traveled. Although the selected house is finely decorated, it is only basic decoration. If you want to upgrade it, such as the projection device that can be seen everywhere, you need to spend money to buy it. Of course, there is also an upgraded version of Dabe, which costs 123,900. Yuanzi shook his head helplessly and sighed. It must cost money. Think about it. It can't be given for free. To be honest, the house price is only 30,000, which is already conscientious enough. Such a city, the competitiveness and attraction to talents are not even weaker than the top 4 first-tier cities in the country, and the house price is only 30,000. How can it be unconscientious? Lin Qian nodded and said, then we can only buy what is necessary. The two discussed and fantasized about the upcoming happy life. The house price of Kaiming City was also announced on the internet as soon as possible. On average, 30,000 yuan per square meter is really good. It's welfare housing. That's right. The only smart city in the country, or even the world, has a house price of only 30,000 yuan. Damn, this is really a good deal. The houses in the hands of the first batch of residents will at least double in value in the future. Are you all serious? 30,000 yuan per square meter is cheap. I can't afford it anyway. I can't afford it either. What if I'm selected? Damn, did you really win, or did you fake it? You're stupid. You don't have money. If it were me, I would sell everything I had to buy it. If it were me in a few years, the sale would be open, and the price would double in value. On the internet, there are indeed people who were selected, but have no money to buy houses. The official of Kaiming City also responded quickly. The official can lower the down payment standard and lend money to these people with 10% or even zero down payment. Of course, borrowing money is borrowing money, and the loan still needs to be repaid. So if someone really feels that they cannot pay back the loan after taking it out, they can voluntarily give up the quota, and the authorities will redraw from the previous applicants. After the news was announced, some people who clamored to buy the quota at a high price were all silent. The authorities directly blocked this road. From the beginning, Zhou Yang had considered this point and determined the principle that the quota could not be traded privately. Smart City is on the right track. Zhou Yang's attention also returned to scientific research. Leaving Chen Royan in Kaiming City and bringing her parents to accompany Chen Royan, Zhou Yang returned to the institute alone. About half a kilometer away from the Wanghu Village Institute, there is another building, which is a newly built biological science laboratory. 10 buses slowly stopped in the yard outside the laboratory. A middle-aged man with a refined temperament took the lead and got out of the car. Mr. Zhao. The middle-aged man saw Zhou Yang waiting in front at a glance and hurriedly came up to greet him. Academician Gao. Zhou Yang smiled and shook hands with the middle-aged man. This middle-aged man is the leader of this research and development team, Gao Cheng. Gao Cheng seemed very excited and said, I have heard of your name for a long time. Today I finally met you in person. Mr. Zhao, can you take a photo with me? My daughter is your biggest fan. When she heard that I could meet you, she insisted that I take a photo with you and ask for an autograph for her. And it was not just Gao Cheng. Some younger researchers who got off the bus behind him also surrounded him, like they were chasing stars. Especially some girls, they were already shouting excitedly, making Zhou Yang laugh and cry. He was like a star. Chapter 239. What a coincidence. After satisfying everyone's requests for taking photos and signing autographs, Zhou Yang finally dealt with a group of little fans and led everyone into this biological science laboratory. This laboratory can be said to be the best in the country, and it is also the best in the world. Zhou Yang led everyone to visit the laboratory. The entire laboratory is divided into 4 major blocks, with many expensive instruments such as transmission electron microscopes, multifunctional microplid readers, fluorescent quantitative PCR instruments, ultra-microwave spectrophotometers, etc. Wow, this is a transmission electron microscope from Fei. Such a machine costs hundreds of millions. A female researcher exclaimed. Gao Cheng looked calm. He had seen the world and did not care about any expensive instrument. He abandoned his original research and came to this laboratory, not for money or better instruments, but for Zhou Yang. Mr. Zhao, you organized us, not just to visit these instruments, right? Just be direct and tell us what you want to study, Gao Cheng said. Zhou Yang smiled and said, Academician Gao is quite direct. Okay, let's go to the conference room. I'll show you something. In the spacious conference room, Gao Cheng and the main person in charge of the R&D team, a total of 9 people, sat quietly. Zhou Yang nodded, and the holographic projection was projected, and an instrument that looked like a dome and chamber appeared in front of everyone. This is our goal. I call it a nanomedical machine. Everyone's eyes lit up. Especially Gao Cheng, who was studying the application of nanomedical treatment. Now he understood why the country came to him. You all have information on your desks. Look at it, and I'll tell you. In front of everyone, there were projections of relevant information. Our goal is to prepare a nanoarm that has biological characteristics and programmability. It can be quickly programmed, self-replicate, and repair human diseases like cells. The main technical difficulties are, first, gene mapping, to understand the functions of all DNA in the human body. I won't go into details about this. Then it is to quickly diagnose the disease. The principle is that each disease will produce different rays, and with the help of some medical diagnostic equipment, we can quickly determine the patient's disease. For this, we need to collect a huge amount of disease data, and we are already doing it. The Dabe robot released by Beidou has the function of collecting user disease data and uploading it. Dabe has been on sale for more than 2 months, and now it has established a relatively large database. Gao Cheng and others were shocked to know that the Dabe on the market had this function. I was wondering why Beidou had to define Dabe as a medical robot, because the national standards for medical equipment are more stringent, and it turns out there is such a purpose. Zhou Yang continued, the final technical difficulty is how to make the nanoarms reorganize and arrange according to our requirements. In this regard, our research direction is a state of atomic level crystallization nucleation, so that the nanoarms can be transformed from a disordered state to a metastable state, thereby achieving the reorganization of the written program. Classical nucleation theory. Gao Cheng blurted out. That's right. Zhou Yang nodded and said, our method is to use an atomic probe to make the ejected atoms collide repeatedly and desorb on the surface, so that the surface of the small clusters fluctuates and complete the combination we want. The atomic probe I'm talking about actually has a certain technical basis. That is, in the preparation process of the biomimicking cell chip, there will be an electric needle that locates and sorts the internal mimicking cell structure through microsecond discharge. This technology is already very mature, but if we want to meet our requirements for nanoarm grouping, we still need to continue research. There is commonality between science and technology. Sometimes, if one technology is solved, related technologies can also be solved. Zhou Yang had already studied it. Based on the electroacupuncture technology and the production process of bioimitation cell chips, it is entirely possible to manufacture atomic probes that meet the requirements and organize nanoarms. Everyone nodded, excited, because the nanomedical machine described by Zhou Yang can quickly diagnose a person's disease, and then in a very short time, it can complete the treatment by decomposing pathogenic cells and rebuilding healthy cells. If this thing is manufactured, it can even treat cancer. One person exclaimed. The difficulty in treating cancer is the crazy replication of cancer cells, and the most important thing is that it is too difficult to completely eliminate cancer cells. Even if various means are used to treat it, the patient may relapse at any time. But if a nanomedical machine is used, it will be completely different. Nanoarms can accurately locate any cancer cell in the body, decompose and take it out of the body, and easily kill all cancer cells, thereby treating cancer. Cancer is nothing. If this thing is really developed, some genetic diseases will have hope of being treated. Genetic diseases are all congenital and are defects at the gene level, while nanoarms are nanoparticle level and can completely make up for defective genes, thereby treating genetic diseases. Gao Cheng looked at Zhou Yang and smiled. I knew that, Mr. Zhao, you would not do ordinary research, but top-level research. After saying this, he paused and said, Mr. Zhao, I also have a document here. I would like to ask you to take a look. Oh. Zhou Yang's heart moved. Could it be that Gao Cheng has made relevant research results that can be used to study nanomedical machines? Gao Cheng went out and asked someone to bring his notebook, then opened a document and showed it to Zhou Yang. Zhou Yang only took a few glances and was surprised. Wow, this is a coincidence. You actually made biological peptides at the nanoparticle level. So, based on your research, it won't take long to prepare the nanoarms I want. After Zhou Yang finished speaking, he also smiled. This is really a coincidence. Gao Cheng is the right person to find. Gao Cheng nodded excitedly and said, with the information you gave me, I'm sure that I can complete the preparation of nanoarms in 1 month. And the atomic probe you mentioned, I think it will not take long to complete the transformation. Zhou Yang nodded and said, the research institute is already doing it, but it still needs your cooperation. I think it will take about 1 or 2 months. Gao Cheng said, then if you calculate it this way, wouldn't it take 3 months for us to manufacture this nanomedical machine? Oh my god, I can't help but want to see how powerful this nanomedical machine will be. If this thing is produced, then we humans can be said to have truly defeated the disease. Everyone was excited. Zhou Yang himself did not expect that the nanomedical machine could be released so quickly. Originally, Zhou Yang planned to complete this research in 1 to 2 years, but who would have thought that he found inspiration in the biological cell manufacturing process, and Gao Cheng had initially solved the preparation of nanoworms. This is such a coincidence. It seems like God wants this nanomedical machine to come out soon to save the world. Chapter 240 Medical Machine completed. Gao Cheng's team quickly entered the working state. Zhou Yang is now responsible for the Northwest Nuclear Base Wrongfully Village Research Institute, Biological Laboratory, and Xingshan's Assembly Workshop. Although they are all in charge, there are too many things to do. As for Chen Ruoyan, her belly is getting bigger and bigger, and she also needs Zhou Yang's company. Zhou Yang had to take Chen Ruoyan from Kaiming City to the home of the research institute, so that it would be convenient for him to take care of her. Many things that can be handled at home should be handled at home as much as possible. There is also a virtual space, which also provides Zhou Yang with a good way to meet with the team below. In early September, the miniaturization of controlled nuclear fusion took a solid step forward, and a 1-meter class magnetic field confinement device was developed. The entire controlled nuclear fusion device has a diameter of 1 meter, which is already very small, and can even be loaded on a tank. But there is still a big gap from Zhou Yang's goal, and the more miniaturized it is, the more difficult it is. Zhou Yang feels that it will take at least next year to make a breakthrough. Time flies, and it is November. Chen Ruoyan's belly is already very big, and the due date is December 10th, which is only half a month away. Zhou Yang had given up all his work as much as possible, and stayed at home with Chen Ruoyan. On this day, November 23rd, Zhou Yang suddenly received a call from Gao Cheng. Gao Cheng was so excited on the phone that he couldn't help himself and said, Mr. Zhao, we made it. Nanomedical device? Zhou Yang also sat up in shock and said quickly, wait for me, I'll be there soon. But as soon as he put down the phone, Chen Ruoyan, who was folding baby clothes on the other side, swept a murderous look over. Zhou Yang's body froze. As the birth approached, Chen Ruoyan was like a moving human volcano, and her temper could be said to explode at any time. That, the research institute, Zhou Yang explained carefully. Chen Ruoyan snorted and said, I want to eat green dates. Buy them. Buy them. I'll buy them right away. Zhou Yang nodded quickly. Chen Ruoyan glared and said, then why are you still standing there? Go, no more than 5 hours at most. Zhou Yang was, as if he had been pardoned, and then he went out. During this period, although Chen Ruoyan's temper was bad, it was all affected by pregnancy, but it was not unreasonable. They drove quickly to the biological laboratory. Where are the things? Zhou Yang asked directly without much politeness when he met Gao Cheng. Gao Cheng hurriedly took Zhou Yang to the laboratory. In the center of the laboratory, there was an instrument that was 2 meters and 5 meters long, 1 meter wide, and 80 centimeters high. Now there was no shell, and the complex structure inside could be seen at a glance. This is the repair fluid. Gao Cheng handed over another bottle of light green liquid. It was full of nanoarms waiting to be programmed. There was no telling how many billions of them there were in this small bottle. Have you tried it? Zhou Yang asked. Gao Cheng nodded and nodded to the assistant. Me again. The assistant screamed, his face darkened surprisingly. But under Gao Cheng's stern gaze, he still took off his clothes depressedly, leaving only a pair of shorts, and lay on the nanomedical machine. The other researchers hurriedly began to prepare, put in the repair fluid, started the program, and then nodded to Gao Cheng to indicate that they could start. Gao Cheng picked up a scalpel and came to the assistant. Boss, can you be gentler? The assistant's voice was trembling. Gao Cheng grabbed the scalpel and shouted like an evil doctor, "Lie down." Then he cut a wound directly on the assistant's arm. The wound was not long, and blood began to ooze out. The assistant was pitiful, clenched his teeth, and dared not cry out in pain. "Start," Gao Cheng said hurriedly. The instrument started, and a mechanical arm popped out from the groove, quickly starting from the assistant's head and quickly passing through the feet, emitting a light blue scanning light. This link is scanning. There are also ultrasound and small magnetic resonance detection modules at the bottom of the instrument, which can quickly determine the disease, Gao Cheng introduced. In 2 seconds, the scan was completed. Another mechanical arm popped out, with a needle on the top, and quickly injected the repair fluid near the wound on the arm. Then, a thicker mechanical arm popped out, connected to densely packed wires, and this mechanical arm directly irradiated a laser, starting from one end of the wound, and accurately scanned the entire wound. Zhou Yang clearly saw that the wound had magically recovered wherever the laser passed. In just 5 seconds, the bloody wound was completely repaired. Gao Cheng stepped forward, wiped the blood from the wound with a tissue, and pulled his arm over for Zhou Yang to see. It was intact, without any signs of damage. Good. Zhou Yang was also excited, and said, "The next step is a comprehensive test. We can start from these aspects: no disease, minor disease, serious disease, incurable disease, genetic disease, and yes, add a limb disability. Find more samples for testing. I will arrange the details." Gao Cheng nodded in agreement. From their own internal tests, there was no big problem, but if it was to be put on the market as a medical device, it would definitely have to undergo rigorous testing. "Thank you for your hard work." Zhou Yang shook hands with Gao Cheng and said, "I had family matters for the past 3 months, and could not spare much time to help you. But you still completed the research and development of the nanomedical machine according to the schedule, even ahead of schedule. I feel so sorry for you." Zhou Yang heard that Gao Cheng devoted himself almost all his heart to the research of nanomedical machines in the past 3 months. Sometimes he only slept 3 or 4 hours a day. The young researchers under him cried out that they could not bear it, not to mention Gao Cheng, a middle-aged man in his late 50s. Gao Cheng waved his hand and said, "What's the big deal? It's my duty. Besides, your family situation is special, and you have more than one project under your charge in our biological laboratory. You are busier than us. By the way, when is the baby coming? It should be soon. You must invite us to the full moon party." Zhou Yang smiled and nodded, saying, "It's almost there. The due date is on the 10th of next month. You will be invited to the full moon party, even if you don't say anything." Gao Cheng looked at the nanomedical machine in front of him, and said with emotion, "It's the fulfillment of my lifelong dream to make this thing. I hope it can really make us humans never suffer from diseases again." At this point, Gao Cheng's eyes were a little wet. Zhou Yang's heart moved, and he suddenly remembered that Gao Cheng's resume, which he had read, mentioned that Gao Cheng's mother died of illness when he was very young, so his father took him away from country Z and went to country M to live. It was there that Gao Cheng began to study life sciences, and after completing his studies, he devoted himself to promoting the innovation of medical technology. Zhou Yang patted Gao Cheng on the shoulder. At this time, it was redundant to say anything. "I'm fine." Gao Cheng quietly wiped away the tears from his eyes and suddenly said, "Mr. Zhao, I have something to say. Can I talk to you?" Chapter 241 Idealization. "Let's talk in the office." The two came to the office, made a cup of tea and sat down. Gao Cheng said, "Mr. Zhao, the nanomedical machine has been developed, but how to promote it? Is there a strategy?" Zhou Yang frowned slightly and shook his head. "No, there really is no such thing." Gao Cheng said, "I know my idea may be naive, but I still want to say that the nanomedical machine is just a medical instrument after all. It faces the general public and millions of human beings. Can it be promoted as a pure medical instrument without any political conditions?" "Mr. Zhao, I can't say it for a while, but you should understand what I mean." Zhou Yang nodded slowly. How could he not understand? Gao Cheng's idea should be very idealistic, that is, to remove restrictions on nanomedical machines and supply them to the world unconditionally, so that every human being can no longer suffer from diseases. In fact, if a country wants to rely on nanomedical machines in exchange for some political benefits, it can be said to be easy. Gao Cheng continued, over the years, I have studied diseases and have come into contact with many patients. When I saw the torture they suffered from diseases, I felt that diseases are the greatest enemy of mankind. Mr. Zhao, people should not be tortured like that, do you understand? Zhou Yang nodded and said, I understand, don't worry, I know this. Thank you. Gao Cheng suddenly stood up and bowed deeply to Zhou Yang. Although Zhou Yang did not agree, he was willing to try, and Gao Cheng knew very well how much Zhou Yang's words would have. Southern Military Region. Tiger Regiment. In the dormitory, a captain was sweating profusely while assembling an assault rifle. His right hand was broken at the wrist, so he could only use one hand to assemble the gun parts. The whole process was extremely difficult, but the officer still tried again and again, biting the magazine in his mouth and pressing the bullet with his intact left hand. Because of the force, the corners of his mouth were all bloody, but the officer didn't care. His eyes were extremely firm, and he kept muttering to himself, Zhang Heching, you can do it, you must do it. At this time, a lieutenant colonel walked into the dormitory quietly and looked at the captain officer and was moved. Zhang Heching. The lieutenant colonel suddenly shouted. Here. Zhang Heching stopped abruptly and saluted in a standard manner. But his right hand, which was broken at the wrist, looked extremely dazzling. The lieutenant colonel waved his hand, signaling Zhang Heching to relax. Just as he was about to finish, he was interrupted by Zhang Heching. Captain, don't persuade me anymore. Let me go to the rear and sit in the office. I don't want to go. If that's the case, then I would rather retire. I want to stay in the combat unit. Even if I only have one hand, I can still train, shoot, and fight. Zhang Heching said loudly. The lieutenant colonel looked at Zhang Heching. The man in front of him was his best soldier. Since joining the army, he has made many military achievements and has been promoted to company commander. It can be said that he has a bright future. But at this moment, an accident took away Zhang Heching's right hand. Don't worry, I'm not here to persuade you this time. The lieutenant colonel said with a smile. Zhang Heching was stunned. The lieutenant colonel continued, pack your luggage, I'll take you to a place where your broken hand may be healed. What? Zhang Heching was shocked. His hand was already broken. How could he get treatment? Could he still have another hand attached? Captain, what's going on? Zhang Heching asked in confusion. The lieutenant colonel stood up and said, don't ask questions, just go if I tell you to. I went to the division commander and tried my best to get this opportunity for you. You must cherish it for me. Do you understand? Zhang Heching was confused, but the lieutenant colonel did not explain too much. He asked someone to come in and help Zhang Heching pack his luggage. National Weightlifting Center. Weightlifter Li Guofang sat tiredly on the mat, sweating profusely, and his body was shaking in an unnatural spasm. Coach Zhukwon stood beside him with a serious expression. Coach, I'll try again. Li Guofang struggled to get up. Zhukwon held him down, his eyes moist, and said, don't practice anymore. If you keep practicing like this, you will die. I know you want to be strong, but compared with the results, life is more important. Li Guofang shook his head vigorously and said, 3 years ago, I failed. I was 1 kilogram short of the Olympic gold medal. Coach, I'm already 36 years old. Next year is my last chance. I have said long ago that, if I can choose how to die, I would rather die on the field. Facing Li Guofang's resolute gaze, Zhukwon could no longer hold back the tears in his eyes and burst out. Half a year ago, Li Guofang, who was preparing for the World Championships, was diagnosed with a brain tumor. The tumor was located near the brainstem. After half a year of development, it has affected Li Guofang's athletic ability to a certain extent. But if this is the case, then forget it. The key is that when lifting weights, blood surges up. In the anaerobic state, the brain will be under tremendous pressure, which is very likely to cause the tumor blood vessels to rupture, and then the person will die directly. During the past 6 months, Zhukwon had been persuading Li Guofang to give up and undergo treatment, but fearing that chemotherapy would affect his physical condition, Li Guofang refused to accept chemotherapy and chose only to control it with drugs. Just then, a middle-aged man came over. Director Han. Zhou was startled. The man was the director of the athlete management department of the sports center. Director Han nodded, then looked at Li Guofang and said, Guofang, go back and pack your luggage. The car is waiting for you outside. Li Guofang was stunned and said, Director Li, where are you going? Director Han smiled mysteriously and said, I don't know where you are going, but it's a good thing, a great thing. You will know when you get there. Li Guofang frowned, but still went to change his clothes with doubt. A bus slowly arrived at the biological laboratory. There were a total of 15 people on the bus. There were men, women, young and old, all from different places. Where are we going? Li Guofang asked curiously as he looked out the window, and it became more and more desolate. Zhang Hecheng, who was sitting in the front, turned around, smiled and stretched out his hand, saying, Hello, my name is Zhang Hecheng. I think I've seen you before. Are you a weightlifter? Li Guofang came back to his senses and nodded quickly, saying, Hello, my name is Li Guofang, and I'm a weightlifter. I told you, I saw you on TV. Zhang Hecheng was a little excited, and then asked, Are you sick too? What's wrong with you? Li Guofang was stunned. He had already discovered that all 15 people on the bus seemed to be sick. Pointing to the brain, Li Guofang said, Tumor. Zhang Hecheng frowned and raised his right hand. Li Guofang was slightly stunned, and his expression became serious. By the way, little friend, are you sick too? Li Guofang looked at a boy of 6 or 7 years old who was leading the seat. The boy nodded and said, Uncle, I have leukemia. Li Guofang was instantly moved. Chapter 242, Rebirth of Broken Limbs. Everyone in the car started talking. I have diabetes. Then I have the mildest disease, gastric ulcer. Finally, there was one old man left without an introduction. Li Guofang was about to ask, but the person next to him pointed to his head and said, Alzheimer's disease. Li Guofang understood instantly and stopped asking. Speaking of which, where are we going? Li Guofang asked curiously. Zhang Hecheng said, I only know that my superiors told me to go for treatment, but I don't know how it is specifically treated. The others were also confused. At this time, the boy with leukemia suddenly said, Don't you know? Li Guofang was stunned and asked quickly, Little boy, do you know? The boy nodded and said, My father told me to send me to a laboratory. Mr. Zhou Yang's house has developed an instrument that can cure my leukemia. Everyone was suddenly shocked. Zhou Yang, academician Zhou. Oh my god, what kind of instrument has Mr. Zhou developed? Can it cure my uremia? I don't know. If it's Mr. Zhou, it should be reliable. Yes, this is Mr. Zhou after all. He has created so many miracles. This time I'm saved. Li Guofang was so shocked that he couldn't speak. Only then did he know the inside story. Li Guofang knew who Zhou Yang was. If Zhou Yang really developed an instrument that could cure his disease, he would certainly believe it. But he still felt it was incredible. I have cancer, and here there are uremia and leukemia. I know that Mr. Zhou has created one miracle after another, but is there really such an instrument in the world that can cure our diseases? Li Guofang said. Zhang Hecheng also smiled bitterly and said, although I believe in Mr. Zhou is still a human being after all, not a god. He can't let my hand grow again. After the two said this, everyone in the car fell into deep thought. Many of them had difficult and complicated diseases, or even terminal diseases. The boy said, no, I believe what my father said. Mr. Zhou will definitely cure me. Li Guofang smiled bitterly, but he guessed that the boy's father was not an ordinary person, otherwise he would not know so many inside stories. At this moment, a large number of buildings appeared outside the window, stretching into a piece as prosperous as a large industrial zone, especially a huge factory building with a height of more than 50 meters, which stood out like a crane among chickens. Finally, the bus stopped in front of the biological laboratory. In front of the door, Gao Cheng was waiting with many researchers. After everyone got off the bus, he took the initiative to greet them. Welcome everyone, it's cold outside. Let's go in and talk about anything. Gao Cheng said. The boy asked, Uncle, where is Mr. Zhou? Why can't I see him? Gao Cheng was stunned and said, Mr. Zhou has more important things to do, but he said he would come to see you. The boy said, oh, with a regretful expression. Gao Cheng didn't say anything more and led everyone into the laboratory. Zhou Yang supported Chen Ruoyan and walked in the garden. The doctor told you to walk more so that it will be easier to have a natural birth, Zhou Yang said. Chen Ruoyan's forehead was sweating and she walked with great effort. She had to sit down and rest after walking for a while. Zhou Yang said reluctantly, or we should have a cesarean section. Chen Ruoyan shook her head firmly and said, no, I read it on the internet. Natural birth is good for the baby. After a pause, she smiled and said, don't worry, we have been through the hail of bullets. It's just giving birth to a child. It's a piece of cake. As soon as she finished speaking, the child in her belly began to punch and kick. Chen Ruoyan was in pain and looked painful. Zhou Yang was also helpless. The one in his belly was really a little dishonest. At this time, Li Xiao came over and said, sir, preparations are starting over there. Oh. Zhou Yang's eyes lit up, and he helped Chen Ruoyan walk back. Chen Ruoyan asked curiously, is it the nanomedical machine you mentioned? Is it really as magical as you said? What do you think? Zhou Yang smiled and helped Chen Ruoyan back to the living room. Li Xiao was also there and quickly helped Chen Ruoyan sit down. Li Xiao immediately turned on the TV. On the TV, it was a real-time picture of the laboratory. It can be seen that the researchers were making preparations. Zhang Hechen was wearing shorts and lying on the nanomedical machine nervously. Li Xiao asked curiously, Xiao Zhao, what are you doing? Mom, this is treating a disease, Zhou Yang said. Li Xiao's face was full of question marks, and she said, treatment, how can this be treated? Zhou Yang smiled and said, you will understand after watching. Chen Ruoyan whispered, is his hand broken? Li Xiao next to him said, his surname is Zhang, he is an active soldier, and his right hand was accidentally broken. Chen Ruoyan frowned. Li Xiao also said, then this child is too pitiful. But can this broken hand be cured? How to cure it? Can you get another hand to connect it? Zhou Yang did not explain much, just said, broken hands, of course they can be cured. As he spoke, the instrument started. In the laboratory, Zhang Hechen nervously watched the instrument sweeping around on his body. There was also a probe, which drew some blood from his body. Captain Zhang, relax. When you wake up, you will have a new hand. A voice came from the side. A mask was put on. Zhang Hechen was about to speak when he suddenly felt a black screen in front of his eyes and fainted. Some life monitoring systems were activated to monitor Zhang Hechen's life status in real time. At this time, a mechanical arm appeared, and a fine laser suddenly shot out from the top of the mechanical arm. The laser shone on Zhang Hechen's amputated right arm. The wound that had already healed was quickly cut open under the laser, revealing fresh muscle tissue. Because the laser has a certain heat, the blood vessels were also burned and temporarily blocked. During the whole process, no blood flowed out, only a faint smell of burning appeared. In Zhang Hechen's case, the healed wound surface must be cut again to create a wound surface so that it can be repaired. Based on the wound surface, the atomic needle began to work and irradiated the wound surface. A large amount of repair fluid was injected and a magical scene appeared. The muscle tissue on the wound surface seemed to have regained vitality and began to wriggle and grow at a speed visible to the naked eye. And the bones also began to grow. The nerves also began to rebuild. The whole process was like a magic. In the villa, Li Xiao covered her mouth and exclaimed, oh my god, his hand actually grew out. Chen Ruoyan also widened her eyes. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, who would dare to believe such a thing? Zhou Yang had a calm face. A broken limb can actually be regarded as a physical injury, but the area of this injury is larger. If injuries can be healed, broken limbs can certainly be healed. Chapter 243 Winning Fairly. 3 minutes later, Zhang Hechen's broken right hand had recovered as before, with snow-white skin, as delicate as a baby's, forming a sharp contrast with the dark arm. Wake him up, Gao Cheng said with suppressed excitement. Since there was no serious bleeding during the whole process, there would be no problem of postoperative weakness, and he could be woken up directly. Under the effect of irritating gas, Zhang Hechen moved and opened his eyes. When his consciousness was slightly clearer, Zhang Hecheng suddenly felt the existence of his right hand. This time, it was not an illusory sense of existence. After a limb is broken, many people will suffer from phantom pain. Simply put, your hand is gone, but the brain does not know. It thinks your hand is still there, and it will send you some nerve signals to stimulate you to see if your hand is still there. But now Zhang Hecheng really felt that his fingers moved a little, and he could clearly feel the movement of his fingers. He quickly looked up at his right hand. Seeing the new right hand on his right arm, Zhang Hecheng opened his mouth instantly, and the next moment, hot tears flowed uncontrollably. At the moment when his hand was broken, Zhang Hecheng was desperate, not because his hand was broken, but because he was afraid that he would never be able to become a qualified soldier again. He worked hard, trained with one hand, experienced so much hardship and pain, and wanted to give up so many times, but he persisted. Only Zhang Hecheng knew the pain. No one knew better than Zhang Hecheng what this intact hand represented. Thank you, thank you. Zhang Hecheng was so excited that he just said thank you. Gao Cheng was also excited, but he still controlled his emotions and said, take him to check the muscle condition and physiological ability of his hand. The rebirth of a broken limb is simply the power of God. The whole process was not only seen by Zhou Yang on TV, but also by the top leaders of the country. On the third day, Li Xianshu came to Zhou Yang's home to visit him. If you don't come, I will also contact you, Zhou Yang said with a smile. Li Xianshu was stunned and said, what's the matter? Zhou Yang said, I think you came here to promote the nano-medical machine. It just so happens that I also have some ideas and want to discuss them with you. Li Xianshu's expression became more serious and said, you tell me. Zhou Yang did not hesitate to talk about Gao Cheng's ideas, and finally said, these days, I have also been thinking about this issue seriously. Should this technology be brought out to benefit all mankind? Later, I felt that it should be brought out, whether it is from the common origin of human beings, or from the fact that our country Z wants to rise and become the strongest and only superpower in the world. It is necessary. Since we want to be the leader of the world, we must also have the necessary responsibilities and responsibilities. There is no need to seek too many political benefits in such things that benefit ordinary people. As the old saying goes, we must be in a legitimate position and we must win in an upright manner, and not use mean means. Of course, after all, this technology was developed by us, and we will not negotiate conditions with you, but business is business. The investment must be recovered, and the equipment produced must also be purchased with money, right? After finishing speaking, Zhou Yang looked at Li Xianshu, waiting for the next words. Li Xianshu said, Mr. Zhao, in fact, your idea coincides with the idea above. Oh. Li Xianshu said, what you said is very good. If we want to win, we must win in an upright manner. The idea above is the same. Although there are differences between countries, we are on the same planet, and are all human beings. We can't just care about our own well-being, and not see others' well-being. And to be bold, even if we unify the earth, can we kill all foreigners? We still have to treat them as citizens and manage them. Zhou Yang laughed dumbly and said, in that case, I'm still judging others by my own standards. No, please don't say that. You can think of these things. This kind of mind and feelings are not comparable to ordinary people. Li Xianshu said hurriedly. Zhou Yang waved his hand and said, then why did you come here today? Li Xianshu said, it's like this. The country plans to announce the nano-medical machine. It should be around this time. The specific time has not been determined yet. I came here to ask you if you have time to attend. Zhou Yang was surprised and said, is it going to be announced so soon? Why not test it for a while? Li Xianshu said, it won't be too late to announce it first and then test it. Is there any other reason? Li Xianshu nodded slightly and said, the country plans to promote a trade organization based on virtual space. It is currently recruiting people. So if we can take advantage of the nano-medical machine, this may be easier to do. After saying that, Li Xianshu also showed an embarrassed expression. He just said that he would not use the nano-medical machine to seek political benefits, but now he turned around and slapped his face. You guys. Zhou Yang was also speechless for a while, but he didn't say anything. This can only be regarded as taking advantage of the situation. I hope you don't get stuck with the nanomedical machine. Zhou Yang said again. Li Xianshu said, no, the promotion of nanomedical machines is definitely a global one, but to be honest, if this thing is really promoted, the impact will not be small. So many doctors and hospitals, how to accommodate them is also a big problem. And the cost of this thing, I heard from academician Gao, that the cost of this thing is more than millions, not to mention the repair fluid as a consumable. If it really benefits all mankind, and allows patients to be treated, the cost will be huge. Zhou Yang was also overwhelmed when he heard it. There are so many doctors in the country. If the nanomedical machine is announced to be on the market the next day, any disease can be cured by just scanning it, and it can make you healthier. If you are not sick, then basically all doctors will be unemployed. There are also companies that produce drugs and companies that make medical related equipment. There are also so many medical schools, research institutes and laboratories that conduct medical research. I'm afraid that they will lose their future overnight and become sunset industries. If this is not handled well, it will cause unrest in the whole society. Don't ask me about this. I'm responsible for research and development. You have so many think tanks. What policy should the country implement should be a headache for you, Zhou Yang said. In fact, Zhou Yang had another solution in his mind that he didn't say. In this situation, the best way is to launch nanomedical machines on a small scale, focusing on treating various incurable diseases and difficult and complicated diseases. At the same time, the cost of treatment must be set well. It is definitely not possible to provide free treatment. Of course, if you can't even afford this cost, there is no way. It is impossible to provide free treatment, because any policy will have loopholes in its implementation. For example, if you don't have money to provide free treatment, how do you define you as having no money? What if someone fakes that they have no money? It is too difficult to review it individually, so we can only take care of the vast majority and give up the minority. Finally, it will take a relatively long time to slowly roll out, create new professions, and smoothly transition to the future. But as I said, Zhou Yang is responsible for the research, and the rest of the matter should be left to the country to worry about. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244 Nanomedical Device Launch Conference. BJ, Union Hospital. Outside the first delivery room, the entire corridor has been under special martial law. Zhou Yang nervously walked back and forth outside the delivery room. Chen Tao, Li Gizi, and the family of his eldest sister Chen Ruoxi were all there. Li Xianshu and some other official and business friends also arrived, although Zhou Yang did not notify them. Zhao, don't be nervous. This woman has gone through this before, and we are in the best hospital with the best doctors. What can go wrong? Chen Tao was calm and tried to persuade Zhou Yang. Li Gizi next to him glared at him with a cold look and cursed. The old man only knows how to say sarcastic words, as if the person in there is not your daughter. Chen Tao was not afraid and retorted, isn't what I said the truth? Seeing that the two old people were about to quarrel, Chen Ruoxi hurriedly persuaded them. Zhang Bo also patted Zhou Yang on the shoulder and said, it's okay, there are so many doctors. It can be said to be the top medical resources. Zhou Yang smiled bitterly and said, that's what I said, but I'm still worried. I've been in there for 2 hours. Just then, he heard a baby cry faintly. Zhou Yang was startled and quickly leaned over the gap in the delivery room to look, saying, is it born? Chen Tao and others also became alert and quickly stood up and surrounded them. Soon, the door of the delivery room was pushed open, and the director of the obstetrics and gynecology department of the hospital came out and said to Zhou Yang with a smile, Mr. Zhao, congratulations, mother and daughter are safe, 6.6 Jin, and it will be out soon. Zhou Yang couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. My daughter is good, my daughter is good. Chen Tao said excitedly next to him. Congratulations, Zhao, you are a father now. Li Xianshu and others in the distance also came over, and congratulations were everywhere. At this time, Chen Royan and the child were also pushed out. Thank you for your hard work. Zhou Yang hurried forward. Chen Royan looked pale and a little weak. Chen Royan shook her head slightly, pointed at the head of the bed and said, look at the baby. Zhou Yang then looked at his daughter in the crib next to him, picked her up gently, and placed his hand gently beside her hand. His daughter also gently grasped Zhou Yang's fingers in response, and instantly, a throbbing feeling of blood connection almost made Zhou Yang cry. Hello, Zhao Tong. Zhou Yang said with a chuckle. 3 days later, at the government's routine press conference, the spokesperson suddenly announced that a press conference would be held at the BJ National Expo Center on December 20th, when Zhou Yang would appear and release a new technology product. The 7 o'clock news that night also broadcast this news. Just based on Zhou Yang's name, the attention was immediately pulled to the peak. What has Zhou Yang developed? Even the country is promoting it. What you said is true. What Zhou Yang developed must be a national treasure. The government must help promote it. I just don't know what it is, and I don't know if I can go to see it in person. You're thinking too much about going to see it in person. Just watch the live broadcast. I'm looking forward to the release of new technology. Is it another new generation of mecha? Stop it. The current mecha is already the best in the world. Even if the next generation is really developed, it is impossible to announce it now. There was a lot of discussion on the internet. However, some news about the press conference was leaked. Because many big names in life sciences and medicine have received invitations, and not only domestic ones, but also some top scientists from abroad, and even the World Health Organization, etc., have all received invitations. Many people speculated that the product Zhou Yang was going to announce might be related to life sciences. Everyone was talking about it, and time slowly came to the 20th. Zhou Manor. Sir, we are leaving. Li Xiao knocked on the door gently and said. Zhou Yang, who was teasing little Zhao Tong, stood up and said to Chen Royan, I have no choice. The higher-ups insisted that I go on stage, so I had to go. Originally, Zhou Yang was worried that Chen Royan would give birth and he would not have time, so he refused and wanted Gao Cheng to appear instead. But after considering it, the higher-ups felt that Gao Cheng was still not good enough, so they changed the time of the press conference and let Zhou Yang go, even if he did not appear, just as a guest on the stage. After all, in the scientific community, Zhou Yang is a golden signboard of country Z. With Zhou Yang's appearance, the credibility of the press conference will be greatly improved. Because the nanomedical machine to be displayed is really too magical. Well, go ahead, come back early. Chen Royan said, while hugging Zhao Tong. After giving birth, Chen Royan instantly regained her gentleness and loveliness. After changing clothes and setting off, they arrived at the expo center more than an hour later. The surrounding area has been under martial law, and the car Zhou Yang was riding in slowly stopped in front of the red carpet. On both sides of the red carpet, there were reporters' cameras. Who is here again? The head of the World Health Organization has just arrived. I don't know. Anyway, all the people who came are big names in the academic world. At this moment, Zhou Yang, dressed in a suit, got out of the car. It's Zhou Yang. The atmosphere at the scene instantly became heated. All the cameras were pointed at Zhou Yang, and some reporters subconsciously rushed forward. The security guards on both sides quickly stretched out their hands to stop them. Mr. Zhao, here, what are you going to release this time? Mr. Zhao, can you say a few words? Zhou Yang, who was about to go in, hesitated for a moment and stopped. He waved his hand and signaled everyone to be quiet. Zhou Yang's words were still very effective. Many excited reporters instantly quieted down, but they all took out their recorders, wanting to get the first-hand news from Zhou Yang. Zhou Yang smiled and said, you will know what is going to be released later, and you don't have to rush to know it now. All I can say is that this is a product that is closely related to ordinary people. After speaking, Zhou Yang waved to everyone and walked towards the expo center under the guidance of the receptionist. Li Xianshu and others also came out to greet them. I'm really sorry, Mr. Zhao, I have to ask you to come out at this time. Li Xianshu said with an apologetic face. Zhou Yang waved his hand and said, okay, I'm here, don't say such things. After that, he looked at Gao Cheng and said, Academician Gao, how are you? Are you ready? you are the protagonist today." Gao Cheng nodded slightly, and it can be seen that he was still very nervous. Finally, he smiled and said, "It's okay, you are still here to support us." As he said that, the group walked into the venue. Many invited guests have arrived at the scene. When Zhou Yang and others appeared, warm applause immediately rang out at the scene. Zhou Yang glanced over and saw that the more than 3,000 seats under the stage were full, and a large part of them were foreigners. However, these foreigners did not have any arrogance on their faces at this time. They were facing Zhou Yang, who dared to be arrogant. The time came to 10 o'clock in the morning, and the live broadcast signal was cut out at the first time. The press conference began. Chapter 245. Able to fully recover. The focus of everyone. Wherever Zhou Yang walked, everyone's eyes were focused on him. Is he Zhou Yang? He is really as young as the legend says. A white-haired old man looked straight at Zhou Yang and said slowly. The middle-aged white man next to him sighed and said, "Yes, he is too young. It is hard to imagine that he can make so many incredible scientific research achievements at such an age." The white-haired old man is Corvado, the chairman of the National Science Foundation of M country. This National Science Foundation is not an ordinary non-governmental organization, but a government agency. Its main responsibility is to fund basic scientific research and promote the development of science and technology in M country. It has the authority to report directly to PER. The middle-aged white man is Corvado's secretary, Mames. Corvado sighed again, his eyes sharpened, and said, "If he is alive, at least for decades, Z country's technology will lead the world." Zhou Yang is only 30 years old now. At the very least, he can still do research for another 30 or 40 years. In these 30 or 40 years, to what extent Z country's technology will be improved, Corvado simply can't imagine. Mems was also full of emotion. Normal scientists may spend their whole lives doing nothing and doing some marginal work in scientific research. Only those with talent may make certain outstanding contributions in certain fields and may see their research results published in their lifetime. Such scientists are already top leaders in the scientific community, and one achievement can make a living for a lifetime. But Zhou Yang has made so many things in just 3 years. Lungsan batteries, Xiangxin 100, Mecha, controlled nuclear fusion, virtual reality technology, any of which are incredible scientific achievements. I wonder what he is going to release today. Is it related to life sciences? Mems frowned. Corvado snorted and said, "We will know soon." The press conference began without a host. Zhou Yang tidied his clothes a little, stood up and came to the center of the stage. The lights focused on Zhou Yang. It is no exaggeration to say that at this moment, the eyes of the world are also focused on Zhou Yang. The product we are going to release today is called a nanomedical machine. Zhou Yang was still the same, getting straight to the point. In one sentence, he attracted everyone's attention. Nanomedical machine, what is that? A medical machine, and it's nano? It shouldn't be some ordinary technology. It's probably black technology. That's right. Nothing Zhou Yang develops is simple. There was a lot of discussion on the internet. At the press conference, there was also constant whispering. Nanomedical machine. Corvado frowned slightly, looked at the secretary, and said, "Is there any relevant research in the academic community recently?" Mems thought for a while, shook his head and said, "It seems that there is no relevant research, but nanomedicine has always been a popular research direction." On the stage, Zhou Yang waved his hand and said, "We have an old saying, seeing is believing, so I think some things are pale. No matter how much we say, it's better to show it directly." A nanomedical machine was pushed onto the stage by the staff, and the technology inside can't be shown to the public. The people in the audience instantly became excited and stared at the nanomedical machine on the stage. Zhou Yang waved to Gao Cheng. Then next, my colleague, academician Gao Cheng Gao, who is also one of the developers of the nanomedical machine, will help us demonstrate. Zhou Yang led the applause. Everyone in the audience applauded, but their attention was still focused on the nanomedical machine. From the outside, this thing looks like a hibernation chamber in a movie, and you can't really tell much about it. But many people still recognized Gao Cheng. It turned out to be him. I haven't heard much about him recently. It turns out that he went to do research with Mr. Zhao. Alas, why can't I get such a good thing? If I do research with Mr. Zhou and make some achievements, I can live on it for the rest of my life. It seems that Gao Cheng originally studied the application of nanotechnology in medicine. Is it for this reason that we found him? Everyone was talking about it. Gao Cheng was not stage fright. He first looked at Zhou Yang and said, "First of all, I want to thank Mr. Zhou. It can be said that Mr. Zhou helped me realize my life's ideal." After saying something incoherent, Gao Cheng said, "Okay, let's get started." After speaking, he nodded to the staff in the distance. "Here, the conditions and time are limited, so we will demonstrate one of the functions of the nanomedical machine. In fact, its capabilities are far beyond our imagination," Gao Cheng said, and the staff in the distance also helped a man wearing a mask and sunglasses to slowly walk onto the stage. "This is our patient. Let's call him Zhou Chen." This is Zhou Chen's photo. On the big screen, a ID photo appeared, showing a sunny and handsome young boy. Gao Cheng continued, "Zhou Chen is a firefighter. During a mission, his right leg was broken by a collapsed steel structure. When his colleagues rescued him from the sea of fire, 90% of his body was severely burned, and his right calf was also amputated. Zhou Chen, can you take off your mask and sunglasses?" Gao Cheng looked at Zhou Chen. Zhou Chen nodded slightly. Before coming, Gao Cheng had communicated with him and would show everyone his current situation. Zhou Chen first lifted up his right trouser leg. From the knee down, it was empty and had been amputated. At the same time, Zhou Chen took off his mask and sunglasses, as well as the hat on his head. Everyone at the scene gasped. The audience watching the live broadcast had a similar reaction. This little brother is in such a bad state. Yeah, he is totally unrecognizable. He can't be associated with the handsome photo before. Good job, he is a brave man. Salute to the firefighters. At the press conference, everyone frowned and looked solemn. Such injuries are indeed extremely serious. You can see that Zhou Chen's facial features have been deformed, and his face is full of horrible scars formed by the fire. Gao Cheng said, "According to current medical technology, if you want to completely cure Zhou Chen, you may need to have skin grafts all over your body and undergo multiple facial reconstruction and plastic surgery. In addition, the amputated right calf will never recover. And such continuous major surgeries, coupled with rejection and infection and other unpredictable situations, it can be said that the chance of Zhou Chen's perfect recovery is almost zero." Everyone nodded. There are many masters in the medical field present. Of course, they know how serious Zhou Chen's injuries are. It is no exaggeration to say that it is a miracle that Zhou Chen can survive. Gao Cheng pointed at the nanomedical machine and said, "By using this nanomedical machine, Zhou Chen may be able to fully recover." As soon as he said this, there was an uproar at the scene. Chapter 246 Future Medical Technology. Impossible. Someone immediately exclaimed subconsciously. That's right, how can such a serious injury be fully recovered? Even if the burn can be recovered, what about amputation? Can a broken leg grow back? Corvado also sneered and said, "He is just trying to attract attention. I want to see how he ends." That's right, how can he fully recover? Unless he is a magician. I feel that this is most likely a magic show, such as there is a person hidden under the machine, twins or something. Mame speculated. There were also discussions on the internet. Just now, academician Gao said that he was fully recovered. How could this be possible? Such a serious injury is almost irreversible. That's right, especially the leg is broken. At the press conference, facing the whispers from the audience, Gao Cheng ignored them and did not explain too much. Just like Zhou Yang said, seeing is believing. No matter how much you say, it is useless. Zhou Chen, please take off your clothes and lie on the medical machine. Zhou Chen did not hesitate. With the help of the staff, he took off his clothes, leaving only a pair of shorts. After taking off his clothes, you can see the horrible wounds all over his body. Then Zhou Chen lay on the medical machine. Gao Cheng nodded slightly to the staff, indicating that the medical machine could be started. Under the watchful eyes of the whole world, the medical machine started. Then Zhou Chen was anesthetized and fell into a deep sleep. A mechanical arm popped out, and the laser shot out, quickly starting to cut the wounds on Zhou Chen's body. Oh my god, it's so bloody. Is this a laser? Doesn't it hurt? What a question. It's anesthetized. It still hurts. But what is it doing? Using lasers to grind away all the scar tissue. This time, in order to truly demonstrate the real function of the nanomedical machine, the whole process was recorded, and there was no need to worry about being too bloody. However, the TV had already given a warning in advance that the following content might be a little bloody. As for the people at the scene, they didn't care about the bloodiness at all, and they all stared at the picture on the big screen. It can be clearly seen that under the laser, all the scar tissue on Zhou Chen's face was burned off the surface by the laser. The whole person instantly became a bloody mess. At the same time, another thicker mechanical arm popped out, which was an atomic probe, emitting a faint blue light, shining on the cleaned tissue. A large amount of repair fluid was also injected into Zhou Chen's body. Then a magical scene appeared. Zhou Chen's skin burned by the laser began to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even the hyperplastic muscle tissue was cleaned by the laser and grew again. The cartilage of the nose also grew. Oh my god. How is this possible? Am I dazzled? This can't be true. The press conference was boiling. Everyone was exclaiming non-stop. The scene in front of them really overturned their three views. And the audience watching the live broadcast all lost their voices at this time. Everything happening in front of them was too magical. Two mechanical arms worked quickly, one destroying and the other restoring, starting from the top of the head and moving downwards. And not only the front, but also the back was being repaired. Soon, they came to the amputated leg. The laser quickly cut the wound, and then under the action of the repair fluid, the bones, nerves, and muscles began to rebuild. A complete lower leg, under the watchful eyes of everyone, quickly grew out. The scene was already dead silent. Everyone held their breath and stared at the big screen intently. Finally, the right foot was reconstructed perfectly. The life state, that had been fluctuating a little bit, slowly returned to calm. Zhou Cheng turned to face the crowd. There were more than 3,000 people in the audience. Each of them stood, stretched their necks to look at the stage, with different expressions, but all full of surprise and disbelief. There were also many cameras pointed at him. Zhou Cheng felt that at this moment he was facing the whole world. Everyone, welcome to the future. Zhou Cheng opened his arms elegantly and said loudly. The picture seemed to freeze. The scene was silent for a moment, and then an incredible cheer and applause broke out, as if to break through the ceiling. In the distance, Zhou Yang shook his head slightly. Is Zhou Cheng imitating himself? But the glory of this moment belongs to Zhou Cheng. The applause lasted for a full minute and didn't stop. The internet was already going wild. I knew it. Zhou Yang's press conference would never release ordinary things. This is definitely black technology. Black technology. This is magic. It's magic. Okay. The ancients said that the dead were resurrected. It's just like this. It's too unbelievable. There is hope. After 3 years, I finally see hope. I can finally recover my legs and stand up. There is hope for my broken fingers too. I want to know when this thing can be put on the market. At the press conference, Zhou Cheng slowly woke up Zhou Chen. Zhou Chen moved a little, opened his eyes, was at a loss for a while, and then slowly stood up. When he saw his intact hands and his right leg, and then touched his restored face, tears instantly burst out of his eyes. At the scene, warm applause rang out again, and it lasted for a long time. Zhou Chen, how do you feel now? Zhou Chen asked. Zhou Chen stood up slowly with the help of the staff. The reconstructed limbs were still strong. Zhou Chen took a step forward and said excitedly, "Good, very good." As he spoke, he was already crying. Zhou Chen waved his hand to signal the staff to help Zhou Chen go down to rest, then turned to the crowd and said loudly, "Regeneration of broken limbs and reconstruction of damaged tissues are only one function of the nanomedical machine. What other functions does the nanomedical machine have?" Everyone's scalp was numb and their whole body was trembling. "There are other functions, is it true or not?" Zhou Cheng said slowly. "The real function of the nanomedical machine is to treat diseases. Cancer can be completely cured." The scene was dead silent. Everyone's mind was blank. Cancer was actually defeated just like that. All the viewers in front of the TV were also silent. Cancer, the king of diseases, can actually be cured. And it's completely cured. Uremia, leukemia, ALS, all can be cured. All kinds of genetic diseases can be cured. All kinds of functional diseases can be cured. Even if you just have a headache or a fever, it can be cured. Every time Zhou Yang said a word, the expressions of the people on the scene became more surprised. The audience before the live broadcast also completely lost their ability to think. I'm not exaggerating, nor am I bragging. In the foreseeable future, nanomedical devices will be introduced to the world and save us humans. From now on, humans will never be tortured by diseases again. What is the future of medical technology? This is it. Zhou Yang's high-pitched voice echoed throughout the press conference. This voice, through the live broadcast signal, seemed to spread all over the world. Chapter 247. When did we become the strongest in the world? Cancer has been conquered. Congenital genetic diseases have been conquered. The whole world was in shock. But after the shock, there was ecstasy. Dad, you are saved. Did you hear that? Cancer can be cured. It was Mr. Zhou. Mr. Zhou conquered cancer. Baby, your disease is cured. Dad finally doesn't have to lose you. Thank you, Mr. Zhou. He is simply a living bodhisattva. At this moment, I don't know how many people cried with joy while watching TV. If you haven't experienced it, you will never know the helpless pain of watching the loss of your loved ones. At the press conference, emotions were also ignited. Some elderly people were even like children, jumping and jumping with excitement. Some of them were scholars, some were doctors, and they had witnessed countless people losing their loved ones, and now, they were all saved. Zhou Yang seemed to have completed his mission. He walked off the stage calmly with a smile. Zhou Yang stood up, stood in the center of the stage, waved his hand, and signaled everyone present to be quiet. When everyone looked at him, Zhou Yang said, I think you all, and the audience in front of the TV, must have a lot of questions. Just ask. I will try my best to answer your questions. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone at the scene raised their hands crazily. Zhou Yang randomly pointed to a middle-aged man. As soon as the middle-aged man opened his mouth, he asked in awkward Chinese, Excuse me, Mr. Zhou, what is the principle of this nanomedical machine? Zhou Yang frowned slightly. This tone was actually from a Japanese. Is he crazy? Asking such a stupid question. You know how he will answer it. Sure enough, the people around the middle-aged man looked at him as if he were a fool. No comment. Next one. Zhou Yang didn't even look at him and pointed to the next person. This time it was a domestic scholar. After thinking for a while, he asked, Mr. Zhou, it's not that I doubt it, but can this nanomedical machine really treat all diseases? I mean, all. Then what is its principle? Just like immune genetic diseases, these are all caused by congenital genetic defects. Zhou Yang rolled his eyes slightly and asked such an irrelevant question again. But after all, they are family members, so Zhou Yang said, according to our current tests, all human diseases discovered at this stage can be cured. I have no comment on the principle. And those who ask questions next, please don't ask about the principle or anything like that. I won't tell you. The scholar blushed slightly and immediately understood that this might be a state secret. How could it be disclosed casually? He pointed to another middle-aged man and asked a decent question. Mr. Zhou, when can this nanomedical device be put on the market? Zhou Yang said, the specific time is uncertain, but I can only say that it will be soon. Please pay attention to the relevant news. Another person stood up and asked, what about the cost? Will the cost of treatment be very high? This question hit the point. No matter how good the things are and how powerful the technology is, it is still a big problem to be unable to afford it. Not only the people at the scene, but also the audience in front of the TV became nervous. Many people were very nervous, fearing that the cost of treatment would be too high. Zhou Yang said, I know that many people are concerned about this issue. The cost of treatment is based on the amount of repair fluid used. As he said, Zhou Yang waved to a staff member and asked the staff member to bring up a bottle of repair fluid. This thing is the repair fluid, which is equivalent to consumables. The cost of the instrument itself is one aspect, and the main cost is the price of the repair fluid. The country is still discussing and evaluating the specific price, but in general, if it is a more difficult disease to treat, such as cancer, amputation, etc., the cost may be the cost of an operation at this stage. Of course, the cost of treatment will be included in the medical insurance. As soon as this was said, there was warm applause at the scene. The audience in front of the TV was also excited. Conscience, really conscience. According to the calculation, that an operation costs 100,000 or even hundreds of thousands. If the nanomedical machine can cure 100%, then it is actually more cost effective to use nanomedical machines. The key is that it is also included in medical insurance, which is simply good news. It is mainly those terminal illnesses that could not be cured, no matter how much money was originally, but now there is hope. At the press conference, a white-haired old man slowly stood up and said, "Hello, Mr. Zhou. First of all, on behalf of the World Health Organization, thank you for developing such an epoch-making medical method. I would like to ask, will this nanomedical opportunity be promoted globally, so that more patients can enjoy the benefits brought by this high technology and cure their diseases?" As soon as this was said, many foreigners became excited. If country Z blocks this nanomedical device again, or acquires certain conditions to be met before exporting, it will be a bit troublesome. Corvado also recovered from his initial shock and whispered, there will definitely be a lot of export conditions. Damn, why did country Z develop such advanced technology again? Mems next to him also sighed. Given the hostile relationship between country M and country Z, it is unknown how much it will cost to get this nanomedical device. It is not okay not to have it. If this thing is really effective, no patient or country can resist it. What is more depressing is that it has always been country M that has been holding country Z back. It has only been a few years, and the situation has changed. Country Z has begun to hold country M back. In fact, before taking office, the country had already given Zhou Yang the final answer to this question. So Zhou Yang did not think too much and said, of course it will be promoted globally. After all, this is a civilian technology, a technology that is beneficial to all mankind, and country Z is now the most powerful country in the world. When he said this, Zhou Yang paused deliberately, as if he was looking at everyone's reaction. Some people frowned, but most were calm. Corvado cursed in a low voice, when did your Z country become the most powerful country in the world? The most powerful country in the world should be our M country. Mams next to him was also angry, but he only dared to curse in his heart. The audience in front of the TV was also obviously stunned when they heard Zhou Yang say this. Has our country Z become the most powerful country in the world? I don't know. When did it happen? Hasn't country M always been the strongest? Haven't we always been second? You are second. Your whole family is second. I think Mr. Zhou is right. We are the most powerful country in the world. Yes, we are the best in the world in economic strength. In terms of military, we also have the most powerful mecha in the world, and have developed controlled nuclear fusion. Why aren't we the most powerful country in the world? Keep a low profile. Mr. Zhou is too high profile. Even if we are the strongest, how can we tell others? You know, we are still a developing country. Fuck developing countries. Our GDP is almost the first in the world, and we are still developing countries. How can those developed countries have the face to say that they are developed countries? It's not almost, but it's already the first. Just watch. Just rely on the GDP created by the virtual reality space. This year our GDP will definitely be the first in the world. Stop talking. We are the first in the world. Mr. Zhou is so domineering. Chapter 248. What is your attitude? Zhou Yang couldn't see the discussion on the internet, but he saw the reaction on the scene. No one dared to object, so we are the strongest in the world. If you don't agree, let's talk about it. Zhou Yang continued, so we must also shoulder the responsibility of a big country. This nanomedical machine will be exported without restrictions, so that more people can enjoy the benefits of technology. Warm applause broke out at the scene. Led by the old man from the World Health Organization, everyone applauded. The applause lasted for 2 minutes before it gradually subsided. At this time, another middle-aged man wearing glasses stood up and asked, then Mr. Zhou, does unrestricted export really come without any conditions, such as a very high licensing fee or something? Zhou Yang looked at the middle-aged man. This tone is inexplicably familiar. H country? From what you said, H country doesn't want it? Zhou Yang said lightly. The middle-aged man with glasses shook his head and said, that's not what I meant. Of course, our country H wants this technology. After saying that, he was also scared and broke out in a cold sweat. If his problem caused country Z to stop exporting to country H, he would probably be eaten alive by patients in country H when he returned. Zhou Yang looked at the middle-aged man and said, I think you must first understand one thing. We can completely restrict the export of this technology. As soon as these words came out, some representatives of various countries present looked at the middle-aged man with glasses with angry eyes. If it was because of you that Zhou Yang was angered, or if it was because of country Z behind Zhou Yang that country Z restricted exports, then you, country H, should be prepared to bear the wrath of the whole world. The middle-aged man with glasses was almost crying with fear, and cold sweat was pouring down his face. He said quickly, Mr. Zhou, you misunderstood me. I didn't mean that. Since you didn't, then don't ask such meaningless questions. Zhou Yang interrupted him directly and said, our country has no export restrictions and is willing to export, which has already answered all the questions. The subtext of this statement is to say that being able to export to you is already giving you face, and you are still talking so much nonsense here. Be careful not to export to you. The middle-aged man with glasses nodded quickly and sat back directly, not daring to say anything else. The guest representatives of other countries were also silent and dared not say anything. Corvado was so angry that he trembled all over, gritted his teeth and whispered, it's too abominable. Look at their attitude. They don't even let us say it, as if being willing to export to us is like giving alms. Once upon a time, the United States acted according to people's faces. Mems also said indignantly, then we don't want it. I believe that with our country M's technology, we can definitely research similar technology. Bullshit. Corvado glared at him and cursed. Why don't you want it? They are willing to export it. Why don't you want it? Ah. Mems was stunned, a little bit amused and helpless. Although he said no, his body was actually very honest. Humph, you are still showing the responsibility of a great power. The vain country Z will pay the price for its arrogance sooner or later. Corvado said coldly. Mems had a strange expression. In Corvado's mouth, country Z was just like the villain in the game world. On the stage, Zhou Yang suddenly said, in fact, the real function of this nanomedical machine is not as simple as keeping us humans away from diseases. Everyone in the audience was stunned. Could it be that this machine has other functions? That's enough. Being able to cure all diseases is already awesome enough, and you actually have other functions. This is a bit too strong. But everyone immediately pricked up their ears and listened carefully. Zhou Yang said, the real role of the nanomedical machine is to make us humans have a healthier body, and a healthy body will allow humans to have a longer lifespan. In other words, perhaps in the foreseeable future, every human will reach our theoretical lifespan of about 120 years. Boom. As soon as Zhou Yang said this, the audience was stunned. Did I hear it right? This machine can actually extend life. Yes, extending life. This is too exaggerated. What is the principle of this machine? Why can it cure all diseases and extend life? It's terrible. If everyone can live to 120 years old, then I'm 60 years old now, so I have only lived half of my life. Many people's eyes are shining, especially some elderly people. Who doesn't want to live longer? 120 years old is at least 40 to 50 years longer than the current average lifespan. Who doesn't want 40 to 50 years of time? Everyone's heart is pounding, and there is no room for other voices in their ears. There is only one voice that keeps saying that if you can live to 120 years old, you need a machine. And the audience in front of the TV. Some ordinary people may not have much reaction, but those rich people and those in power are all going crazy. Who doesn't want to have a few more decades of life? Corvado's cell phone suddenly rang. He took it out and saw that it was the president calling. He answered it hesitantly. Mr. President. Pear said directly. Corvado, as soon as the press conference is over, you will stay in country Z. No matter what excessive demands country Z makes, you must find a way to bring this nanomedical device to our country M. Do you understand? Corvado agreed stupidly. His mind was blank. Is Pear crazy? No matter what the request is, he will agree to it. It's simply hell. But just after hanging up the phone, another call came in. Seeing the number, Corvado's face changed. This person is not simple. He is the controller of one of the top 10 consortiums in Country M. Mr. Henville. Corvado quickly answered the phone and said carefully, in terms of power, although this person is not as strong as Pear on the surface, he can replace Pear if he wants. Corvado, you can have a good talk with Country Z. I believe what Mr. Zhou Yang said. Bring this nanomedical device back to Country M. Do you understand? Corvado said quickly, I understand. The phone was hung up. Corvado came to his senses a little. This guy seemed to be over 70 years old, and his health had not been very good. If he lived to the theoretical lifespan of 120 years, that would be an extra 50 years. Wouldn't he be crazy? At this moment, it was not just Corvado. Many people's cell phones rang at the press conference. On the stage, Zhou Yang also saw many people secretly answering the phone, and he sneered in his heart. Although the country did not intend to restrict the export of nanomedical devices, it did not prevent the country from making money from nanomedical devices, especially making money from foreign rich people. The country has no psychological burden at all to make money from these guys. Thinking of this, Zhou Yang continued, the country will set up a company called Matrix Medical, which will be responsible for the operation and export of nanomedical machines. Therefore, the specific treatment costs and export methods are all subject to the announcement of Matrix Medical. Okay, the press conference will end here. I still say that everything is subject to the subsequent announcement. After that, Zhou Yang walked off the stage without looking back. Chapter 249. I got it. The press conference was over. But the aftermath was not over yet. With the convenience of the media, the news about the nanomedical machine spread all over the world in an instant. Keywords such as curing all diseases and giving humans a theoretical lifespan of 120 years have set off a global sensation. Many people who did not pay attention to this news thought it was fake news again. But when they saw that the developer was Zhou Yang, all their doubts disappeared in an instant. Zhou Yang has created so many miracles, there is no reason not to create a new miracle. On the internet, on TV, and in real life, everyone is discussing the magic of the nanomedical machine. Although the things Zhou Yang developed before also affected all aspects of life, this time is different. Who doesn't want a healthy body, and who doesn't want to prolong their life? Therefore, the nanomedical machine is a practical concern for everyone who cannot care about it. Moreover, once the nanomedical machine came out, the most direct impact was on the medical industry. On the stock market, all companies related to medical care plummeted. There was even an argument on the internet that, if the nanomedical machine can cure all diseases, then what is the use of doctors? However, these arguments are still rare, and everyone is discussing nanomedical machines, but they have not yet fermented. 3 days later, Matrix Medical was officially established, and the official website was launched. On the day of the launch, the astonishing number of visits almost overwhelmed the official website. Matrix Network announced the launch plan of the nanomedical machine as soon as possible. First of all, Matrix Network will take the lead in launching pilot medical units in 15 cities across the country and open nanomedical machines to the public. The specific time is tentatively scheduled for mid-January of the following year, and it will be completed before the Chinese New Year at the latest. In addition, the nanomedical machines opened on the pilot will give priority to treating severe diseases, terminal illnesses, genetic diseases, etc. In short, if ordinary hospitals can treat them well, then don't come to join in the fun. As for the cost, it will be announced separately. As soon as the announcement was made, there was a lot of discussion on the internet. The most talked about thing was why it was not opened in our city. However, it will be opened before the Chinese New Year at the latest, which is only 1 or 2 months away, which is also very fast. But the day after the announcement was issued, a video spread all over the internet and attracted countless people's attention. This is a video on Douyin. The title is called We Don't Have Time. The poster is a young parent named Zhu Xiaofei. At the beginning of the video, Zhu Xiaofei kneeled on the ground, crying, "Mr. Zhao, I really don't know how to contact you. First of all, I want to thank you for developing the nanomedical machine, which brings hope to all terminally ill patients. But my daughter was diagnosed with leukemia half a year ago, and now it is in the late stage, and we have not waited for the opportunity of a bone marrow transplant. My daughter is only 7 years old. She is my angel and the only one in my life. If I lose her, I really don't know how I can have the courage to live. At this time, I saw the nanomedical machine, and saw that you claimed that it could cure all diseases. At that time, I was so excited that I burst into tears. I felt that God heard my devout prayers and gave me hope. But just 2 days ago, the doctor told me that if my daughter can't wait for a bone marrow transplant, she may not live for more than a month, and the launch of the nanomedical machine will take another month or 2. I'm afraid that my daughter will not wait for that day. Mr. Zhou, I know my request is too much. There may be a corresponding plan for the launch of the nanomedical machine, but I still want to beg you to launch the nanomedical machine faster. I don't want to lose my daughter, because I can't wait, even though I know there is a way to save my daughter. If that happens, I will never forgive myself. Mr. Zhou, please. At the end of the video, Zhu Xiaofei held the relevant medical records and kowtowed on the ground. On the other side of the camera was her daughter lying on the bed. In order to attract more attention to the video, Zhu Xiaofei spent money to buy promotion and add Zhou Yang's Douyin account. As Zhu Xiaofei said, he was a small citizen and had no idea how to contact a big man like Zhou Yang. The only channel was through Douyin, at Zhou Yang's Douyin account, hoping that Zhou Yang could see it. As soon as the video was released, it quickly became a hot topic. It's so pitiful. Yes, the child is only 6 years old. The key is that now we know there is a way to cure it, but just because there is no time, it's too cruel for the parents, and they will probably blame themselves for the rest of their lives. Yes, like it more, let more people see it, and finally all media will report it, and finally let Mr. Zhou see it. It's difficult. Mr. Zhou is so busy at work, and his Douyin account has not been updated for so long. I guess he has forgotten the password long ago. And it's not just Zhu Xiaofei's video that has become popular. Soon, a large number of similar videos appeared on Douyin, with that frantically. Many people were in the same situation as Zhu Xiaofei, either in the advanced stage of cancer, or with a death date announced by the doctor. As many people said, if you don't know that the nanomedical machine can cure all diseases, then you just accept it, because if it can't be cured, there is no way the king of hell will have to take you. But now that you know there is a way to cure it, but you can't wait for the nanomedical machine to be launched in a month or 2, that is the biggest regret and cruelty. Related videos have been fermenting, and it's not just in China, but also abroad. Many patients with serious diseases, some of whom have given up, suddenly learned that the nanomedical machine has come out, but now country Z has just started a pilot program. I don't know how long it will take for foreign countries to take over. On foreign networks, some patients with serious diseases have already planned to come to country Z to seek treatment. Douyin Operations Department. Boss, these people are too pitiful, I can't stand it. Don't we have Mr. Zhou's mobile phone number? Why don't we call him? Are you crazy? Can Mr. Zhou's phone be called casually? Luo Hanwen shook his head quickly. It's like you accidentally found out the leader's phone number. Can you just call him for a chat? Stop it. It should be okay. Mr. Zhou has such a good temper. He shouldn't blame us. Besides, he called before. Luo Hanwen still shook his head frantically and said, impossible. Don't even think about it. But at this moment, an operator suddenly screamed, quick, quick, Mr. Zhou posted a video. What? Is this true? Mr. Zhou actually saw it. Everyone quickly opened the backstage to check Zhou Yang's latest video. The video was super short, only 2 seconds, and Zhou Yang didn't show up from beginning to end. It was just a black background with a line of words. Or in other words, 4 words. I know. In an instant, Luo Hanwen and others who saw these 4 words felt a tremor all over their bodies. Chapter 250 Temporary Announcement. Zhou Yang really saw it. I have been busy taking care of my children these 2 days, otherwise I might not have time to watch Douyin or something. Since I have seen it, I can't just ignore it. On the day Zhou Yang posted the video, Matrix Network issued a temporary announcement. A temporary medical unit will be set up in BJ Union Hospital to provide 6 nanomedical machines within 2 months, under the diagnosis of the union doctors. If it is determined that the remaining life is less than 2 months, nanomedical machines can be used for treatment. The moment the announcement was issued, it occupied the front page headlines of major media. For a time, all patients flocked to BJ Union Hospital. 3 heavy trucks arrived at the outpatient building, and the Dean Zhou Yang and the hospital leaders personally greeted them. A young man wearing glasses got out of the car and took the initiative to greet him. "You are Dean Zhou Yang. My name is Han Yi, and I'm the assistant of Academician Gao. This time, I will be responsible for the installation and operation of the 6 nanomedical machines." The young man introduced himself. "Welcome, welcome." Zhou Yang smiled and shook hands with Han Yi, then looked at the 3 vans behind. His eyes lit up and said, "The nanomedical machines are in here, right?" Han Yi nodded and said, "Without further delay, I will arrange for the unloading." Zhou Yang nodded quickly. He was very curious about this instrument that had shocked the world and claimed to be able to treat all diseases. At that moment, Han Yi ordered people to start unloading. The 6 packaged nanomedical machines were also sent to the treatment room prepared by the hospital. Zhou Yang quickly noticed the packaged repair fluid and said, "Zhou Han, is this the repair fluid? I saw the press conference saying that the nanomedical machine can work because of this thing." Other leaders also came over and looked at the repair fluid curiously. Han Yi nodded and said, "In fact, it is not only the repair fluid that has the effect. Moreover, these repair fluids are called repair fluids, but they are not liquids. Instead, they are composed of special nanoscale nanoworms. For example, this small bottle contains countless nanoworms." "Oh, nanoworms. Are they so magical?" Zhou Yang picked up a bottle of repair fluid and looked at it over and over again. With the help of the hospital staff, the 6 nanomedical machines were quickly installed. The staff brought by Han Yi also began to debug nervously. Zhou Yang and others surrounded a nanomedical machine and marveled at it. "Can this nanomedical machine be used now?" Zhou Yang asked. Han Yi nodded, guessing what Zhou Yang was thinking, and said, "President Zhou Yang, why don't you give it a try?" Zhou Yang's thoughts were exposed, and his face slightly blushed, but he still shook his head and said, "Forget it, I'm in good health. By the way, Liaolin, you have sciatica, why don't you give it a try?" An old man with grey hair came over and asked tentatively, "Zhou Han, can sciatica be cured?" "Of course." Han Yi nodded and said, "President Zhou Yang, why don't you find some doctors and I will teach them how to operate it. In this way, when it gets busy, I may not be able to handle it alone." "That would be great." Zhou Yang's eyes lit up, and he quickly asked someone to call them. There was no need to call them specifically, as the door was already full of doctors who were watching the excitement. Soon, the directors of all departments gathered around and learned how to operate it. Han Yi asked the old man surnamed Lin to take off his coat and lie on the nanomedical machine. After starting the medical machine, the robotic arm began to scan the old man surnamed Lin's body. Han Yi pointed at the screen and said, "President Zhou Yang and everyone, you see, this step is to scan the disease in the patient. The principle is actually very simple. Different diseases will emit different rays. Through big data, the emitted rays can be distinguished to determine the disease, and some existing diagnostic and treatment methods, such as X-rays, can be used at the same time." Everyone nodded. Zhou Yang also hurriedly warned, "It's confidential. Keep your mouth shut and don't reveal it." Everyone nodded quickly. With their status, they would not talk nonsense. Han Yi smiled and said, "These things, in fact, don't matter even if they are really revealed, because we still have the core technology firmly in our hands, and others can't learn it." At this time, the scan was completed. The results came out. Han Yi said, "Look, Director Lin not only has sciatica, but also gastric ulcers and mild high blood lipids." "Yes, I have gastric ulcers. This machine is amazing," the old man surnamed Lin said hurriedly. Everyone was also amazed. Han Yi thought to himself that this is just the beginning. These diseases can be diagnosed without a nanomedical machine. The next step is treatment. I won't say much about the principle, Han Yi said. Everyone's expression was solemn. I understand. Jiang Qianpeng said quickly. Of course, such a secret cannot be disclosed to the public. The mechanical arm began to inject the repair fluid into the old man surnamed Lin, and the atomic probe also began to work, quickly scanning the old man surnamed Lin's body. The diseased cells in the body were removed and replaced. The whole process was like rebuilding the body. The speed was also very fast. The old man surnamed Lin immediately felt as if there were countless ants crawling in his body. It didn't itch, but instead there was a sense of comfort, so he could bear it and lay there motionless. Soon, after consuming half a bottle of repair fluid, the treatment was over. Director Lin, you can get up, Han Yi said. Everyone was shocked. What? It's over? Too fast. That's normal. I saw that the firefighter was treated very quickly at the press conference. Old Lin, what do you think? Everyone looked at the old man surnamed Lin. The old man surnamed Lin stood up, moved his waist, and said in disbelief, it doesn't hurt anymore. Oh my god, is it so magical? Just shine a light on it, and it will be cured. No, I have to take an x-ray to see. The old man surnamed Lin ran out quickly. Not long after, the old man surnamed Lin came back. It's really healed, there is no problem at all. Facing the inquiring eyes of the crowd, the old man surnamed Lin said in disbelief. Everyone was excited. The magic of the nanomedical machine in front of them had exceeded their cognition. By the way, how much does it cost for a treatment like the one just now? I saw Mr. Zhao said that the cost of treatment is based on the repair fluid. Jiang Qianpeng asked. Han Yi pointed to the half of the repair fluid that had been consumed and said, at this level, there is about 170 milliliters of repair fluid, and the national pricing standard is 150 yuan for each milliliter of repair fluid. 150 yuan per milliliter, 170 milliliters, that's more than 20,000 yuan, less than 30,000 yuan. Jiang Qianpeng quickly calculated and said, that's not very expensive. After all, spending 30,000 yuan may not necessarily cure sciatica completely. And it's not just sciatica, there are also gastric ulcers and high blood lipids. They are all cured with less than 30,000 yuan, and the whole process is painless. It's really cheap. The key is that you can use medical insurance. Jiang Qianpeng waved his hand and said, okay, Lao Lin, you have to make up the 20,000 yuan to me later. And the repair fluid is limited, and I don't know how many patients will come tomorrow, so don't try again. Learn everything well, and get started as soon as possible. Do you understand? Tomorrow, Union Hospital will welcome the first batch of critically ill patients. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.